The hero is one who destroys evil and brings peace in the world. The owner of the demons reigns, immersing the world into the darkness and managing fear. Bishop Demon urged the hero not to forget to return to the Six. The hero, in response, asked to calm down, calling her an old woman. The hero walked the street where life was boiling. People and demons talked and interviewed someone. The hero was surprised when passers-by, like pastors, began to interview him, but quickly mentioned that he was commemorated soon in honor of the end of the war. He said he considers the times wonderful, because it has been 18 years since people and demons began to live together. At that moment, he was only 5 years old. The man noted that people and demons were little different, and added that his son was a soldier, but now he disappeared and no longer returned home. When asked about the modern hero, they barely mentioned the name and called him a Cormalo. This hero felt annoying. I assumed that the name of the modern hero, apparently, Aurelio. The feed felt embarrassed. Norfolka and Corleo took the care of Demos' lady mom, and they grew up in the hostel of the Eastern Army up to 18 years. Their life was in peacetime when there was no need to fight. This put them in a state of embarrassment. During the walk, the hero noticed his grandmother with a heavy suitcase. He asked if she needed her help to move her to the other side. Surprised by such a proposal, she agreed. Helping with a suitcase, the old woman thanked him. Looking closer, she asked if he was not Luro Luro. The young man confirmed, but did not know the answer to his own question. What does it mean to be a hero? Under the name of Lord, my mother looked at the hero in surprise. He asked what happened. He remembered that at one time he also thought that he should go into the army. She reminded him not to speak nonsense because he was already 18, and it is time to join the university. In addition, neither he nor is it obliged to serve in the army. He noted that all this is a solid confusion, and the titles of the owners of demons and the hero lost meaning, because the world is much better. Corleo was upset. He reached out, asking what it means to be a hero. He said that he was also a hero, like Hallo Hal, and asked if he was still strong. The woman was strongly exclaiming to throw these nonsense out of her head. She insisted that the heroes and owners of the demons have long become a remnant of the past, and did not need to think about it. He visited a museum dedicated to the history of heroes and owners of demons. Before the statue of the 58th hero Popolopo, who completed the 80-year-old era of the ruler of the demons, and started the era of people. Nearby, the 101st hero Bibib was mentioned, marked by the fact that he restrained the enemy army on his own. Next was the predecessor of Corleo, Halo. He reasoned what his essence was. He thought about whether he could consider himself a hero if he just eats, learns, sleeps, and lives without worries. He almost came to the conclusion, but his reflection interrupted the visit of a demonic woman with his daughter. The girl turned to him and asked if he could take a photo with him. The camera instantly printed their photo. The hero went outside when someone called him. The guy exclaimed that he was finally relief. He was here. Corleo asked what was the matter. I reported that it was urgent to go with them to the headquarters of the Eastern Army, and he stood before him. The hero was informed that a man named Evan Olgiers, and this hero comes from another world, he assured. Seeing a sign on Corleo's hand, Evan said that he could not even imagine the existence of other heroes. There was the same sign on his hand. He said that the hero was Evan Olgren, who fell under a teleportation attack during the battle with a demon and found himself in their world. Julio could not believe his eyes. In fact, he saw a hero's sign on Olgren and was amazed at him that a real hero was in front of him. Suddenly, Mumi appeared. She exclaimed loudly, wondering what is happening here. Before she managed to do anything, Evan strengthened the sword into the wall next to her. Everyone was amazed. The hero from the other world exclaimed that they were the owner of the demons. He was seized, asking that he was doing. He asked to let him go, stating that it is difficult to imagine the peaceful coexistence of people and demons, and even more so, their friendship with the owner of the demons. The sword slipped out of his hands and thickened on the floor. Evan apologized, explained that he had no harm to harm, his body acted automatically. He asked to listen to him. He exclaimed that in a few days the demon truck would come to this world, bringing with him a disaster. He confessed that he was his fault, because he failed to complete his plan. He noted that the demon drill has a great power, and it is unlikely that anyone but him will be able to overcome it. Evan shouted that after destroying him, they would be able to do everything they want with him. But until then, he pleaded to give him freedom. One demon looked at him in surprise and asked to wait a moment. He stated that the hero from the other world was complete waste, and he seemed to draw this label on his hand. His interlocutor asked to wait a little. He was able to indicate when the hero arrived in this world. Evan replied that if his memory did not let go, it happened about 8 days ago. The guy asked if 8 days had already passed. He stated that as the best graduate of the Department of International Political Studies at the Faculty of Law of the Carnations University, he would like to express his opinion. The existence of these two heroes could violate the laws of the universe and cause catastrophic processes on the planet. But 8 days have passed, and they still did not know what could happen to the world. After shouting, he said that he should not be lost a second, and measures should be taken immediately. The boys expressed their surprise. One noted that he speaks convincingly. Evan suggested that if he is a real hero, his words about the arrival of another Lord Demons are weight. This means that, destroying it, they will have to fight on their own already with 2 Lords of Demons. The savvy boy exclaimed nervously. Evan shouted that the Lord Demon would be overcome without delay, and then, if they want to deprive him of his life, he is indifferent. This, he said, will only improve the situation for everyone. The thoughts of the moment when the person who called himself a hero was in front of him caused him an unknown, previously trembling feeling in his heart. In the underground dark dungeon, the hero visited him. He asked him if he was the hero of this world and asked the name. The man replied that his name is Corleo. He thought. Evan turned to him and noted that the world in which they found themselves strange and unusual. He noted that this world is so different from his own, that it is hard to believe that people here live side by side with demons, and the hero gets along with the owner of the demons. He wondered if they did not really use the magic of signs, adding that it sounds weird. Pyro asked again about the magic of the signs. Even reached out and a bright flame broke out of it. If they knew about the magic of the signs, they would obviously not lock it in the dungeon without any trap. This is the same elementary logic. Corleo was impressed. He could not believe what was happening. The hero from the other world asked him about the necessary. One of the present intervened. Evan said he believed, this person appeared not just so, but for a certain purpose. One lingered a little. He noted that he rarely gets the opportunity to communicate with another hero. The interlocutor replied that now everything has become clear. He suggested changing the situation, and suddenly they were in the forest. The hero was confused and did not understand what was happening and how possible. Evan explained that the magic of the sign is capable of such miracles, so he should not worry, and promised to return the hero to his camera. He noted that he did not meet real heroes, except himself, and that this tree, in his opinion, is able to make miracles. Touching him, he created 2 swords. He suggested talking to a conversation with a training duel. Evan asked the hero if he learned to own a sword. Corleo was surprised, saying that of course he had not learned, and there was no need. It was answered that he had great skills. The hero, surprised, asked if it was true. He replied that this was really the case and squeezed his sword. Corleo wondered what the hero meant that Evan was frankly surprised. Corleo noted that once the heroes of their world also fought with the demons of the demons, and only 18 years ago peace was reached. He noted that he does not do anything like this now, has no strength, and does not even fight. He stated that he has no hatred of demons. He does not want to fight them and understands well that peace is always superior to war. The hero confesses that he still envies Evan, feels a self-esteem and is encouraged by the desire to leave everything. The man replied that he had no answer to this question, and the hero would have to find her alone. He advised him not to look for it among others. Corleo wondered what a real character is and who is worthy of being defeated. He thought that he still did not know the answers to these questions. When he walked down the street, someone called him, asking to stop. There were several guys in the deaf corner. 2 guys pushed the third, and the hero was already going to go. What to do? He automatically wrinkled his face. Finally, he asked the guys what they were doing here. They were much scared, realizing that they were a hero before them. He noted that attacking a person with a large group was a cowardice, and added that fighting between people and demons has long gone out of style. The guy asked if he was swaying. The second tried to stop it. The one who was persecuted expressed gratitude to the hero. The abusers, calling him the name of Corleone Ames, hurriedly decided to get out of here. One of them quit that he did not escape, but only considers the hero a fake. The man tiredly turned back, and Mama glanced over. The owner of the demons said she heard about his fight last night. Todd assured that he did not beat anyone, but only strictly reprimanded. She was screaming, asking what a fool to be to get involved in such a mess. What will he do if he finds himself in danger? Maybe he imagines himself a hero? Corleo intervened, saying that he was actually a hero. Then he asked where the label on his right hand came from and, if not a hero, who did she make it? However, Mom always thinks that it is nonsense. She does not want to listen to his conversations. He asked if she once told what it means to be a hero, adding that he was no longer aware of who he is, that if the birth of a hero leads to such, it would be better to never be born, and he grabbed his sleeve. She apologized, confessing that she did not take his words seriously. He stopped, thinking about what he is doing and what a sad spectacle creates it. He is no longer a 5-year-old boy. Tears rolled on the cheeks of the hero. He remembered the sad face of the demon lord himself and decided that he should apologize. Suddenly, the windows became dark, appeared right in front of him. The senior was also surprised by the sudden onset of the night. The boys ran to her, screaming loudly about some trouble. They stated that something grand and enormous was approaching them. The hero suddenly fell to the ground before Evan asked what was going on. He replied that he had moved them here with the help of Mark's magic, and now they hung over the water. Corleo noted that it is also important but not what he meant. He asked why the man brought it with him, to which Evan replied that it was needed. He said it was the end of the rule of demons. The hero looked with fear. The huge monster was approaching, making incomprehensible sounds and words that mixed with loud laughter. Huge heads stared at both heroes. The monster redirected his view on Evan. It ended, and he used the magic of his sign. The demon staged. A shrill cry sounded, and the demon began to decrease in size, as if turning into another creature. In the end, the demon took the shape of a cube, slightly larger than a person. Evan turned to the hero, explaining that he brought him here for the sole purpose, that his goal was the murder. Evan explained that the excessive number of heroes and demonolord in one world can destroy it. If you destroy Corleo and this creature, only one hero and one demonolord will remain, and Evan will be able to settle in this world. Evan said that his native world was no longer suitable for life, and even if he defeated demonolord, he would still be waiting for death. Therefore, he moved here with the help of a magic marker. He asked Corleo if one could ask one question before death. That was blood from the nose and mouth. He was asked a question that meant being a hero. She noticed that everything around had frozen. She asked what was happening here. The boys replied that they did not know for sure, but intelligence has found a huge living creature, Evan and Corleo, according to the coordinates. Bishop Demon was terribly scared. He questioned the hero and suddenly fell to the ground. The guy asked what happened to her. She replied that the problem with the left hand, there was a label on the hand. Before the heroes stood the owner of demons from another world. Evan asked again about the importance of being a hero, turning to Corleo. Corleo replied that he had no idea. He advised him to seek his own answers. The Lord Demon became more active and almost struck Evan. He, thinking that the demon recovered, used the power of his label from this world. He thought that he never knew who such characters had only had children's ideas, but never came to a true understanding. He imagined heroes strong, who fearlessly fight enemies. That is what they should be. Looking at Corleo, I realized that it was an answer. But he still broke his head over what problem, and that he remained unknown. Again and again in the imagination he scrolled that the hero is always strong and invariably fighting his enemies. He always believed that the characters were sure to protect something. Suddenly Corleo pushed Evan and rushed to the Lord Demon. Evan, having the power to protect himself, rejected the kindness of Corleo, considering it unnecessary. Remembering his thoughts, he realized that he then thought about the heroes. He was ripped into pieces. The hero from the other world looked at him. Leo always dreamed of becoming a hero and suggested that it is now going on his way out into this world. Someone could think that it is not surprising that he couldn't understand it, despite everything. She shouted something. He noticed Evan next to her. They discussed how the Lord Demon was defeated. Corleo's eyes slowly closed. Again turning his gaze, he saw his hand. Involuntarily he thought whether he was really alive. He stated that he would give his life for his recovery. He confessed that he killed people, regardless of whether they were friends or enemies. His world was cruel, and it was impossible to survive otherwise. He insisted that he should not be considered a hero. He argued that the real hero was fighting for the protection of others. Evan noted that the real hero is not the power or number of battles, but that he becomes stronger and fights for the protection of others. He tried to forget about it, but while in the heart of a person the force of valor glows, everyone will call him a hero. He said that Corleo should be proud of himself, because in his heart lives a real character. Evan stood alone in the void. Suddenly, someone called him out loud. The hero returned to Irene, the son and sin of Henry, and with pain in his voice apologized, acknowledging that he has nothing more protected. Evan was invited again, and he asked if he could join them. He was invited to a common conversation again. He cried through the resurrected Corleo. Thanks to Evan's Mark's magic, Corleo is rescued from the inevitable death. He is 18 years old, his height is 172 centimeters. His hobby is to sleep, but he is not yet in his relationship. In Larid, my mother took Corleo's care 18 years ago, raising him from birth. She is 38 years old, her height is 146 centimeters. Her hobby is to sleep, and she was already in the relationship. She stretched out a piece of paper. The man wondered that it was. She replied that she was waiting for him at this address at 1900, where she would inform him something important. He asked why it could not be said now. The woman replied that this attitude did not like girls. It's been 3 days from that moment, but Corleo was still upset. He realized the feelings in the soul and was recognized as a hero. He was finally told what he always hoped for, or at least it seemed to him. However, he still did not feel like a hero. It seemed that he may have lacked confidence, perhaps courage. He stopped just in the middle of the street. Did he actually consider himself a hero? A man approached him. It was a boy who came to the rescue. Sleeping tears, he confessed that he just wanted to thank him for his support. Remembering this situation, he realized what a guy he was who could not hold back tears and bowed deeply. He expressed his joy that Corleo became a hero. He called the guy behind him, looking carefully at his hand. Standing a little more, he rushed to run. A man, as if a child on his birthday, was rushing on the road, stinging every now and then. Barely turning his breath, he ran to his mother. She was amazed. She asked if he really went through the road. Ashamed, he replied that, so to speak, yes. Then looked back. He saw a memorial cemetery number 6. He realized that they were standing near the grave where the great hero hallows. The guy was amazed, realizing that they were standing near the grave of his predecessor. He mentioned his predecessor, Galo, who completed the bloody 8-year hatred with demons and started the era of peaceful coexistence. The owner of the demons had to report 2 important news. The night curtain of heaven revealed the world of the moon. She noted that the protection of anything inseparably related to self-sacrifice. The hero was amazed. There was no limit. Asked about Corleo. She replied that she clearly sees the signs of light aura. It surprised him. He asked not to look at her in this way. She looked angry. The hero asked why she was so hard to stop him. The woman replied that he should not force her to say it aloud. She remembered how Galo expressed her desire that the next hero lives in peace, where no one would lose his life unfairly. He argued that if his life was able to bring this dream closer, then such a victim would not be in vain. He was glad to be a hero. With tears in her eyes, her mother turned to Corleo, confessing that she did not want him to suffer. She assured Corleo that it is necessary to be careful, because it is not a shame when needed. He asked what was found on her. The Lord Demon continued to cry. The video mentioned the expression of her face when he barely escaped death, and he said he now understands. He failed to make the necessary movements with his hands. Mom said that for prayer it was necessary to draw a circle twice and cross 4 times. Tot asked her to solve him. He noted that despite her tears, she actually swayed. Tot shouted, asked what he said, and demanded to repeat, calling him in a praise. The hero remembered that he also had something important to her. That evening, the demonic guy expressed his gratitude. He always believed that he became a hero, but it did not benefit him. However, for the first time, his thoughts have changed. He began to feel that he was primarily pleased with what he became a hero, and he looked at him with misunderstanding. Corleo tried to explain everything differently, but did not know where to start. He remembered how his mother once took his hand and thought. He acknowledged that his words of unwillingness were superfluous, and sincerely apologized. The night gradually enveloped the city. Corleo suddenly noticed something strange, though she tried to explain her plan. He could not understand what was happening. Mom asked what a feeling that was. Lift, they saw the eye. The moonlight suddenly disappeared, dipping everything into the darkness. The Lord Demons and the hero looked around, not understanding what was happening. A huge black monster hanged over the grave. Someone mentioned that she sought to convey the last message from Evan. The man suggested that it was only his guess, but their world is waiting for new anomalies. He noted that in the case of unpredictable situations, he will share part of his forces from Corleo. He asked to make him stronger to protect everything that can be protected. Meanwhile, the monster loudly brought to the hero. The monster opened his pashak, entirely on Corleo, but he had time to bounce. At this point, my mother shouted loudly to him, again to the hero. He wondered who this creature was and why she wanted it. Suddenly, he remembered how the demonic lord from another world cut it in half. The guy was very scared. His mother screamed to run, though she didn't know why. But the monster chose him for the target. She continued to shout, calling him to flee. The hero obeyed and ran. Around them, the creature turned to the demonic ruler. Corleo continued to run but suddenly stopped, hearing the woman's voice. He realized with horror that her hand had been torn off. The hero, covered by the rage, rushed forward and struck the creature, loudly calling her lazy dog. The mother, fainted, lay near the monument, flowing with blood. He was angry. He decided that he should go into battle and certainly win. He understood that the woman was too seriously injured and needed the help of a doctor. Otherwise, she would not survive. He hesitated, to escape with or stay with her. He finally realized that he could not escape. He needs to fight. He decided that he was obliged to fight and ask the monster whether he understands him. The creature asked instead, "Are you Ivana?" By piercing the air, the sound is broken around. The man took Corleo sideways and asked the situation. Corleo was amazed and asked who this man was. Seeing the form of the Central Army on it, he wondered who this old man. The man asked again about the circumstances. He shouted that her mother has a torn left hand and she bleed profusely. This insidious dog appeared from nowhere. He did not fully understand what had happened, but felt that she needed, and she was alone here. The monster was wounded, but still continued to move and make sounds. Someone realized that it was regenerating, and not to stop it with one blow. He pointed to the boy to stay behind his back, but be inside the creature and distract it. "There is nothing more boring than the easy way," he said. Suddenly the monster became even larger and opened his mouth. "Only a fool goes the fastest way," the man added. Boldly rushing forward to the monster, he rapidly hit him with his sword. The creature scattered on many small debris. Corleo remained stunned. He asked about his identity. The man introduced himself and promised to take the woman to the hospital immediately. He said he would go to a military hospital on the other side of the bridge for 5 kilometers and called for him. He noted that he had a serious conversation with the boy, and he remained puzzled. She woke up with tangled thoughts in her head. Smiling, he returned to her and noted that they had not seen themselves for a long time. "Greetings." He put her in a new role, as the former commander-in-chief of the army of the owners of the demons, and now the general of the central troops of the hero and the owner of the demons, panels. The owner of the demons was very surprised. He advised her to move less, because anesthesia was still active, and she received little blood. The woman screamed, asking where Corleo. Frightened, Panelov noted that the man arrived much faster than he expected. He walked out of the door, and he assured that he would immediately move to the essence of the case. He said he was so hurried to call Corleo to the Central Army base. He explained that it was for 2 reasons. First, to strengthen their ranks, and secondly, to provide important information. After the last incident in which they were mixed, the anomalies began to appear in different places. He even mentioned the dog as an example, but it was not the main task. Panelos noted that still different witnesses have reported several cases of the appearance of probable heroes and demonic lords from other worlds. He said that one of these heroes is already a turnkey in the center. No one knows what awaits ahead. He asked if he would have enough courage to help them in battle. The man and the hero sat on the bench. The man noted that he had not been in the penalty for a long time, but knows here one friend who owns the bakery. "I confess, today I am tired well, and my back hurts unbearably." The hero sighed, connecting his hands together. Closing his face with his hands, he tilted his head sadly. The Panelov apologized, noting that if he arrived 10 seconds earlier, Mrs. Mom would not lose her hands. The guy started talking. He shared that more and more people are beginning to call him a hero, and for that he was extremely grateful to them, because he always sought to be. He said that when he saw that thing, his heart almost jumped out of his chest, and he was afraid of the thought of a possible death. The hero noted that if he did not escape in the other direction, everything could have happened differently. Tears flowed from his eyes. He confessed that he tried to escape then. Life flowed around, and they sat on a bench, and he turned to the hero. He told how he found himself in a situation where it was necessary to make a decision, and invented several possible options. The answer turned out to be quite simple: to overcome the monster and take Ms. Mama to the hospital. And all. He did not get out of this opinion from his head, but he was convinced that he should not explain why another man could not do it. Anello noted that only strong can protect someone, and perhaps this is the point. He stressed that he should make the decision to join them himself, and no one will be able to force him. He remembered one thing. That man said that tomorrow he would go to the center from the eastern station of Tyrone. Maybe you should go and buy bread. She told Corleo everything she knew and conveyed a message from Evan, whom he asked to pass. She noted that he spoke and behaved as a scoundrel. He pulled them aggressively, demanded to become stronger from Corleo. She did not suffer it. He decisively sent him away, giving a good slap. We smiled, noting that now that the arm went, she received on his merit. The hero, however, exclaimed that it is not ridiculous at all, sharing short looks with others. They asked if he would go there to the central one. The hero wanted to answer, but his mother interrupted him. She asked him to wait. She said not to answer, not to speak, forced to silence. He first asked for permission to tell a long history, urged to remain silent and listen. The woman confessed that they had a novel from the Gallo Halo, which no one knew about. Corleo was surprised but said it was not necessary to discuss it. The woman stressed that he should be silent and listening. When she calmed down, she explained that he had founded a neutral army together with Halo. Soon, this army became a coalition of the heroes of demons, which has now gained its present appearance. Of course, there were those who disagreed, especially among the demons, but Gallo sacrificed to show how he sought the coexistence. This is exactly how his tragic fate formed. She said she took the care of an orphan who was a hero named Corleo. The woman said that it has been 18 years since then. After the halo lowered, she felt broken, but communicating with the hero gradually began to fill this abyss. She confessed that she increasingly noticed in it the halo features. Uncompromising willingness to sacrifice yourself without looking back, showing the heartfelt courage of a true hero. The frame confessed that she was afraid and terrified of another loss, so she sought to protect him from dangers as long as possible. She tried to reassure him, creating an atmosphere of peace and silence to protect against any injuries. He said that it was she who kept the manifestations of his will, dreams, aspirations, actions, decisions, and experience of life. However, despite all the obstacles, he managed to find his way. He sought to become stronger. The demonic owner replied that she understands his desire. She looked at him with a tricky smile and joked that he was disobedient. Corleo wondered that the hero is the one who destroys evil and brings peace into the world, and the demonic ruler is the one who prevails in the dark using fear. Now the world has two titled, hero and demonic ruler. It seemed that the era of the hero and the demonic bishop was already over, and the world began to move to the new era. Vanolo asked the guy who he was. The hero came to the conclusion that this indefinite era of change would later receive a new name. He replied that he was a hero. The Persimalt continent consists of the main, similar to the Cross, land and numerous islands around. Before the coming of peace 18 years ago, people lived in the west, and in the east, a demon. For 800 years, they have taken place, and at this time they traveled to the central part, where they had to meet the hero from another world, to go on a train. Panelu suddenly talked about the magic, which mysteriously hides the label. The hero replied that Evan somehow mentioned the possibility of sharing some of his strength with him. He said that Evan has a force called the magic of tags that can lift it into the air, cut objects and create fire. The man confessed that he had never heard of such a thing before, and asked the hero whether he was now possessing her. In response, he said it was a good question, but he did not know the answer himself. The girl approached them, greeted, and asked if they did not want to eat. Raising his hand, he ordered a mug of hot masal tea and asked the choice of Corleo. The man replied that he would take the same. The guy in glasses decided to choose iced coffee. Panel and Aaron met at the table and enjoyed tea. The man wondered if Evan's boy was strong. The hero replied that he probably, and even very. Then the man asked, who is stronger, Evan or the hero himself? Corleo thought. Unfortunately, their army was more reminiscent of a police detachment than military force. And although it may sound, the hero is a character placed in the center of the plot, which was usually friendly, but others have already convinced what he is capable of when he ceases to be. He noted that the guy would go where the situation could unfold the same. Tot hesitated, but his goal was not to become stronger to win over someone, but to gain strength to protect people. He confessed that he did not want to regret because of his own weakness, so he would gather all his efforts to achieve this goal, and will never come off his chosen path. He flew into the air and declared loudly what was the hero that should become. Panalu and all around were shocked what happened. At the same time, the train workers noticed that the coal was over. Suddenly, passengers heard a cry. Corleo unexpectedly found himself on the floor, frightened by asking what had just happened. A voice from the speaker came to the entire train. They announced that an emergency stop would be made due to the lack of coal. They promised that the coal would deliver in an hour and apologized for the inconvenience. The Panilov was surprised. The guy considered it the perfect chance. He invited another and stated that if the mysterious art of magical tag really exists, then he wants to solve it on its own. I have never heard that. He sought to achieve this through diligent workout. He said they had an hour, and suggested that during this time try to make him use his right hand. Corleo ordered attacking his life depended on it. He effortlessly dropped the hero to the ground, noting that his blows were weak. He replied that it was natural, because he never beat anyone. He asked if he was feeling too calm. In response, he heard that he should attack as if life was dependent on it, and to use his labeled magic. He noted that it was not as if he did not know how to do it. The Panilov asked sarcastically if he would tell his opponents that he had lost his shape and asked them to wait a little. Asked if the guy went to the center to say goodbye to his life, Corleo became angry. He decided to give another attempt. The girl was bored on the train. Corrected his tie. He reported that the loading of coal is almost completed and it was time to return. For the hero, this is a great opportunity to evaluate your skills. He expressed his hope that the hero would become even stronger. Corleo reflected on his weaknesses, recognizing them understandable, but it caused a flurry of regret. He sought the strength to be able to protect those whom he loves. He did not want tears for himself, as well as for his own weakness. When he was asked if he went to the central goodbye to his life, he answered the denial. He explained that he was going to go because his life depended on it. And then his marker suddenly lit up. Everyone was amazed. The hero realized that she shone from his feelings. Panelos proposed to increase the duration of the battle by half a minute and move to the active offensive. Orlando remembered how a considerable distance ran a lot of distance, and surprised that, hitting his dog, he flew much further than expected. He realized that his body works better than usual. Smoke clubs broke out of the chimney of the train, and the hero thought that he had no idea what power the magic of the sign hides. In general, he did not know much. However, as Panelu said, it is necessary to force the enemy to act with his right hand, and this is what he will aim. His goal was the movement to the right. The man considered himself extremely fast, because thanks to the mark he reached the acceleration 20 meters in only 2 seconds. But the attack on the right flank was a too predictable step. It was time to act. Corleo fell, shouted. Suddenly he realized that he almost fell off the wall and struck even louder. He managed to grab him by his hand. He promised to repel all the blows, but at that moment he suggested returning to his place. The signal came and they turned inside. The guy in the glasses asked for jasmine tea. Vanolo reported that the hero they detained had already been sent to the station. According to him, they only saw once, and no one told him about the magic of the label, which could testify to the concealment of information from them. The hero, although he felt some affection for them, still remained wary. He asked the guy to give up fishing. The guy firmly replied, of course, that any trick would be better than the owners of the demons, and that he would try to get along with him. Men were amazed. He asked if he had said this before. Leo grew up in the military environment, attending special courses instead of school, so he lived in a kind of isolation. Because of this, he did not have school friends or romantic feelings, and his foster mother was the only close woman to him. They were met by Alicia Vulpul, who was a heroine. She congratulated Corleo, noting that it was very cool. She was worried, but his arrival brought her joy. She asked why he was so beaten. The heroine was surprised, and the girl gladly reached out to him with the words that he was glad. He agreed, a little puzzled, and shook her hand in response. Both exclaimed from the surprise when tears shouted on the girl's cheeks. She cried and rushed forward. In the heart of Persamont, in Rita County, Corleo shouted to the girl to stop. They left old Panio behind. Corleo asked what she was doing, but the girl continued to run. The hero exclaimed that he rarely happens in the center, so he does not know the way. He shouted that he asked her to wait, asking why she was running away. But Alicia did not stop. He barely restrained not to quench like a crazy beast and not to rush at her. He asked if she realized that the transition of the road to a red traffic signal can lead to death. Alicia was scared and stopped. The girl continued to cry. The hero persistently said that if she does not calm down and talks to him, he may die. She said she was ready for conversation. In the telephone booth, the hero explained that now they are only two in the South Rita County 10-7. He told Alicia, who contacted the central headquarters, and were informed that they would come in about half an hour. The girl asked the phone again. He explained that it was a long-distance talking device and asked if she did not know it. Alicia was very surprised. They sat silently on the bench. Corleo returned to the girl and she answered him. He introduced himself, saying that he was 18 years old, and said that he had already met a harem from another world. In this world, the war is over, and it feels very weak, because he has never participated in life. Then he wondered how things were. People called her Lizzie from Volpel, and she was 24 years old. In the middle of the silence, the hero reflected that the misunderstanding had already been resolved, but the girl still did not want to communicate. He has accumulated many questions, especially about the magic of the sign. The hero thought as if carefully raised this topic. Suddenly, Alicia confessed that she also felt extremely tired and hid with her mother throughout this time. She added that she had to flee because of her weakness for 24 years. She then asked if she could say something. Of course, the hero, allowed her to speak. The girl said that her mother died, but before her death ordered to live on. The mother was her only close person. Ridma, she confessed that she had lost the meaning of life. In addition, she was in a foreign, incomprehensible reality. Alicia added that she just wants to ask. Unexpectedly, the girl grabbed her head. Having apologized, she noted that Corleo was younger than 6 years, so she should not do so. The interlocutor assured her that he understands that he also has a mom. When she suffered from him, he firmly decided to become stronger, feeling his weakness. The girl looked closely at him. The guys from the headquarters had to arrive soon, so he suggested waiting for them at the entrance to the park. The girl agreed. A man was sitting on the bench in the cylinder. The hero suggested discussing what to do next, and asked if her mother would like it. She answered in the affirmative. Corleo rose from the bench, remembering how the Panelovs said he had met her earlier. She did not even mention the label magic that hinted at what she kept secret. He asked the girl why she was silent about the label. She replied that she was already aware of it, and used not to reveal all the secrets to those who did not fully trust. The hero agreed that it was logical. Suddenly, the man clicks his fingers. Turning, they noticed an eye on the lantern, which looked carefully at them. They thought whether this creature was the same dog and where it came from. Mr. rushed to them. The hero, apologizing to Alicia, exclaimed that he was going to touch her. He picked it up and rushed her, trying to escape from the creation. Having apologized, he wondered if he was difficult for him. The royal replied loudly what this happens, but it is not a problem, and she should not worry at all. He thought about their situation. Alicia, who called herself a weak, and he, in fact, is no less weak against one enemy. He could not use the magic of the signs, and had no idea how to overcome the monster. The hero hesitates whether to hit the monster, discard, wait for help, or just run away. Remembering Pantalov's words that the answer is really very simple, he asked the girl to get to the very entrance to the video. She wondered with interest what would be with him. Corleo replied that he was going to give the monster a good blow. He has asked Alicia about himself, thinking about all the difficulties she had to overcome. Hoping that her perseverance would bear fruit one day, he pleased her to live on. The hero believed that it would definitely happen, that she will definitely find her appointment. Alicia remembered how his hands trembled with fear that reminded her of her mother. Her gaze turned to Corleo. The creature fell to the ground and rushed directly at it. The girl shouted that the monster had plunged underground. She turned to the hero. She said she would lure the monster to the surface, and the hero would take care of the rest. He wondered how she was going to do it. Alicia took advantage of the magic of the Gagori Karika sign, the force of fortification. She struck his fists on the ground with such force that all the surrounding stones flew completely, and the monster flew into the air. Everyone was stunned, especially because she found herself weak. The monster roared, and the girl screamed to Corleo to act immediately. One of the audience exclaimed that he did not know how to use the magic of the label, and asked what to do. Alicia replied that the label responded to emotions, so you should express yourself as clearly as possible. The hero decided that he would have to act immediately because there is no time for training. He loudly addressed Evan with pleasure to share his power with him. He, breaking away from the ground, rapidly jumped high up, being at the level of creature. Corleo was amazed that he managed to get away from Earth so quickly. He could not believe that it had happened, and it seemed to him that there was too much noise. At that moment, the creation was aggressively ravaged, widely opening its mouth. The hero grabbed the monster by the tail, and shouting, threw him into the lantern. The creature has come out. He was convinced that he had won the monster, and decided to land to take off again. Suddenly I realized that it was impossible. He fell on the girl, begging her to stay safe. Alicia expressed the joy that had time. She asked if he really spent the entire stock of tags. The hero asked whether it was so. It reminded him of the training with Panilov, and he realized that he had not rested at all. Suddenly the hero began to lose consciousness. Alicia confessed that she had a request. She still is not easy to stay alone. But he intervened. His eyes were almost closed, but he still managed to say yes. Alicia stood in front of him and gladly reported that the hero had finally come to her senses. He also noted that he had slept all day. You asked where he was. Alicia replied that it was a central military hospital. She explained that the military took him away immediately after all this. That's how they got here. The hero was amazed. I remember fighting, it seems. He mentioned the magic sign and asked if he could use it. He said he then lost consciousness. The girl confirmed this, adding that she should convey the words of Uncle Panilov. The man noted that as soon as Corleo is released, they would gather for a meeting to discuss future plans. He asked everyone to gather in room 3 as soon as the young man feels fine. Alicia added it was the end of the quote. She felt awkward, remembering whether she asked if the hero of her life would become. She remembered that she had said something to him before he lost consciousness, and asked if he remembered it. The hero replied that he did not remember anything, and once again wondered what she said. Panelu performed at the Central Military Staff of the Demonic Lord Army and Heroes in Conference Hall number 3. He proposed first to arrange all their data, which, if streamlined, they will face 2 problems. He noted that the first problem is the emergence of heroes and owners of demons from other worlds, with the scale of this phenomenon and the number of unexpected guests remain unknown. One of the anonymous people argued that the other creatures were monsters with the only eye, creatures similar to dogs and bats turned after death on white sand, which was blown by the wind. He noted that these creatures were reminiscent of something like a demon, defeated by a hero. They reported that the heroes had a third obstacle. They thought. Panelu told someone that he could come. The reception room included the one who looked around with the demonic seal of the Lord. The man said he was detained a few hours ago as Skaba Dap Mistreya, and in fact he is a demonic ruler from another world. He said that the man was called Eskab and noted that he was in the same situation as Alicia. He suddenly found himself in an unknown place and realized that something was wrong. After discussions with the Central Army, they suggested that a person lies in this situation and decided to find it. So, 3 of them will now join the Central Army to work together on the hero's demons. They should be ready to move on just new information. Asked everyone to disperse. The grandmother entered the Central Army dorm room. He reported that they would live and sleep here, adding that they were lucky. The world of heroes is much more developed than his own, especially fascinated by electricity, because it provided light even at night. He looked at Alicia, who tremblingly hid behind Corleo. Znikov. The girl apologized to her, assuring that she had no evil intention, and the demon asked if she trusts him. He noted that he understands her reaction, because the interaction between demonic rulers and heroes is often tense. He asked her to think that there are 2 heroes in the world and only 1 demonic bishop, so he feels alien here. Iskaba confessed that he seeks to gain their trust. He has not intended to harm, but just return to his world, home. His gaze fell on Corleo, who returned to him. He suggested all 3 to sit down and talk, noting that after all they still know nothing about each other. To find out everything, they sat down at a round table. The demon said it all started with a hero named Ivan and Demon Lord Ed. He noted that Corleo survived difficult times, as well as Alicia with his mother. The hero thought that he hides information about the magic label because of distrust of them. It was logical, and he felt the same. Escaba said that in his world, almost all demons were destroyed by people, and that he remained among the few surviving, confessing that he was still a little frightened. He continues to talk to them, because he wants them to believe him. He has a short heart from helplessness when his friends are fighting somewhere while they talk. The most painful to comprehend their suffering. The demon explained that that is why he needs to return to his own world, where everyone is waiting for him. Looking out the window, the person watched the events. Someone asked him if he decided to release the demon. Before him was Ben, an officer at the headquarters of the Lord Demon Army, and a real hero. He confessed that he did not fully understand the character of Skobab. Ben asked if it was safe to keep him next to Corleo and Alicia. The man replied that without the risk of not succeed. Ben considered it an old-fashioned approach. The panel suggested that the bracket. She wanted to stop him, but the man had already thrown pipes from the guys from the window. Alicia lifted her gaze. Suddenly, the shadow of Asgab began to grow. Several of his shadows pulled out and began to grow. He cleverly discarded the pipes from the table. The demon noted that he forgot to say his abilities. His magic of the sign not only adds weight to the shadows, but also allows it to control them. According to the demon, it is never superfluous to open your cards. Thinking about his words, Alicia thanked the demon. He only modestly noticed that it was little things. The hero returned to the treasure. He noted that he could not trust him fully, since another demonic bishop from another world was a real monster. He sincerely sought to believe the words of the demon. He suggested that if there is someone who really stands for all this, then it is worth understanding him to join his friends again. Corleo had already fallen asleep in his bed when he suddenly heard someone calling him. He quickly got up and went to the window. Through the window opposite, he saw Escab. He shouted that he found something incredible and asked the hero to come to him faster. The hero was surprised, noting that the night is now. However, without hesitation, he went the corridor. The lantern caught fire, illuminating the path of the hero who entered the room. In front of him stretched the bloody trail that led to the door. In the shaded corner, there was a lunchman who also had a trace of blood on the cheek. Corleo went for a long time, and on the floor lay the unconscious Alicia. It was from it that was drawn from the blood. In the head of the hero, a void reigned for a moment, as if his memory returned him to a moment when his mother was injured. Julio hit Escab. He rushed after him to strike another blow, but suddenly retreated. The girl pulled her hand sharply. The hero exclaimed, asking what the demon thought. An exotic smile appeared on the face. He dreamed that all residents of the other world were as friendly as Alicia. But at the same time, in his thoughts, the picture of the hero and the demonic bishop, doomed to eternal struggle, flashed. It was a reality, clear and ruthless. "Demon, what do you do?" Being bending near the girl, the Escaba immediately rushed to the other end of the room. Leo wondered that Alicia had lost consciousness and bleed only from her head. The demon, touching her face, noted that it was painful. He thought that the heroine was only a rapper, but she turned out to be completely different. The hero loudly reproached him, asking if he was his hands on the right. Escoba confirmed, and asked boldly what would happen if so. Corleo replied that in this case he did not intend to tolerate it. He noted that it would be better if the hero stated that he was going to kill him. He suggested talking about boredom, noting that the guy lives in a really bored world. But it did not matter, because the flickering lights were annoyed here. The demon proposed to continue it on the street. He broke the window and they began to fall down. At this point, when Orleo was flying in the air, his thoughts returned to the one who used his shadow to throw it outside the building. Horror had mastered him when he realized that he was actually falling. Just before hitting the ground, he suddenly changed the direction and gently landed away. He explained that from his words, Corleo's magic was levitation, and that it was taken with great reluctance. Then he asked the demon to stop playing. The hero thought that he could be moved and seemed to reduce the blow due to levitation. Understanding in what condition Alicia, he realized that it was no longer worth delaying. He decided that the guards would not appear in the near future, so he killed them all. He said he planned to watch a little more, but something unexpected happened. Alicia came to apologize for the day in the middle of the night. Escoba said it seemed so ridiculous that he did not resist and hit her. The hero confidently replied that he would not take a minute to destroy him, because that is what his words mean. Escoba just smiled. Used a magical shadow swimmer eye mark. He called Corleo and, knocking him down, reminded that he had to be his mentor, proposing to master the magic of the sign to perfection. Zero wondered that the sign consists of 5 segments, each of which contains a stock of forces. By absorbing the energy by motion of the clockwise, the sign consumes segments the faster, the more power it is released. He had 3 stocks on his hand and 4 on the demon's arm. He realized that there were only 3 reserves that should not be wasted. If the Fascaba used the shadows, it was logical that the goal was light. Therefore, He focused on the light lantern. The sun's rays built Corleo, depriving the opportunity to dodge. He felt that the situation was critical. The goal remained unattainable, and the shadows were interfered with. They reappeared from his back again. Women looked at the hero in surprise. He flew up using levitation and smashed the lanterns. Haba realized that using the inertia of the shadow and adding levitation to it, he succeeded. He noted that it turned out well. The hero John, standing away, noted that this trick had taken away one of the important fragments. The demon asked if he believed that they were on an equal footing, and instantly caused Corleo a devastating blow. He noted that the label gives two advantages: magic and enhancement of physical abilities. It improves basic skills in accordance with the experience gained, but emphasized that at first his and main character was shared by a huge abyss. He heard that Corleo's label was special and asked if it was all that he was able to show his abilities. The hero was surprised to his words, but the Escaba continued to attack, asking loudly what was the matter. He shouted that a minute would soon pass, and Corleo is only skilled in words. The hero remembered how painful it was. As a child, falling from the stairs, he broke his leg. Then it became the strongest pain in his life, and since then, no other event has compared with that unpleasant adventure. Having realized the pain, the tears themselves flowed from his eyes. The demon shouted at him so that he did not dare to cry. Corleo wondered if this demon would not become those who would destroy it. Such reflections, he asked himself whether the demon is too chic. He has already awakened two abilities, levitation and healing. The hero was thinking about how far he had advanced, but for some reason he could not accept this reality, could not let go of this opinion. He was upset by the enmity between the heroes and lords of the demons. Corleo rose to his feet. He urged him to fight, and recalled that it was the reality he got into, and you will not run away from it. He had no choice. His scream was fiercely full. Beat me as if you want to kill me. The hero realized that this is a reality. He realized that she did not escape from her, and Alicia appeared in his thoughts. He realized that it was time to act, not delay. Now was not the time for anger or doubt, so he decided to just do everything he could. His sign shone even brighter. Orlando mentioned Alicia's words that the sign responds to emotions, and it is necessary to visualize his purpose as clearly as possible. The hero rushed to the demon and struck him with a powerful blow to his stomach. Blood splashed from the enemy's mouth. Corleo realized that his only goal is to save Alicia. Struck the demonic heart. He was enthusiastically noted for his incredible agility. He realized that it is not just that his wounds heal. Although Corleo did not know what was happening, he realized that everything was going on. Meanwhile, Escoba got a lighter from his pocket. Escoba lit a fire, saying that his weapons were shadows, and of course, enemies would try to destroy the light he learned to play. He announced that it was time for the second round. She asked in Panaloo how much she still needs to consider it. Added that they would stifle me with the guy. He replied that they received evidence that the scrub was standing by someone, and this one understands the causes of these events well. The girl was warned that she did not go there until they find out the truth, or until the demon strikes Corleo. But she asked if he was too harsh. She advised him to change her tone because girls do not like it. He tried to stop her, but she had already jumped out the window. She rushed down. The girl involved the magic of Kiribosi's sign, a flickering star. She ordered the hero to transport Alicia until she fights with the demon. The two may have enough courage to repel his attack. Alicia also used the magic of the sign. Suddenly something was blinking right in front of Corleo like a lightning. A huge shadow with a roar crashed into the wall. The demon was puzzled. It seemed that for a moment his gaze went in the other direction. The girl landed between the boys. She shouted that she is the only and unique idol, a miner's demon, which looks incredibly luxurious on stage. They were surprised. The Escaba asked her if she was as he was. Is she also a demon from another world? And why she is on the side of the heroes? The girl only hung up in response. Minerva instructed him to listen carefully, calling herself a petty. She stated that the boys, which are lower than 190 centimeters, were not interested in it, and, if selected, the injured are not so bad. The girl grabbed Corleo by her shoulder, which made him turn red. Minerva announced that he would go to the case, and Corleo had to focus. She reported that Alice is fine, she supports him, and is ready to resist Escabi. Minerva also had another request to the hero. She asked if he understood everything. The guy exclaimed that he understood everything. Minerva replied that it was wonderful, and noted that I was glad to see him so smart. The girl suggested that I immediately go to the case. She asked about his age, to which he replied that he was 18 years old. She announced that she was 20 years old, so he should turn to her as a lady, and called him a boy. He did so. Using a shining star and the demon, a shadow swimmer, they directed their abilities against each other. Attacked. The Escaba realized what she was leading to. Minerva rushed at him rapidly. The Escaba noted that her attempts to distract him with the help of those pathetic stars were really futile, and her charming phrases were complete nonsense. The girl ordered him to leave her opinion and the unpleasant smell of herself. Then suddenly, he hit her in his stomach. A star suddenly appeared in the girl's hands. Escaba could not understand what was happening. His gaze fussed from side to side. Meanwhile, Minerva was quietly back to him from behind. He extended his hand, asking if it was a handshake with a fan. She replied that it was not a problem, but he immediately picked up a tiny object and threw it out the window. The women broke through the glass and fell into the house. The girl jumped after them. The sounds of blows were heard. Corleo thought that he, no doubt, had nothing to go there. But it was an opportunity to use. He went into the house and saw a demon that ruthlessly destroyed everything around. It surprised him. Escaba asked Minerva if she knew it. He explained that it was electricity. She was angered by his remarks. She exclaimed that his world was backward, and asked if they had CDs. She landed on the window and it cracked. Applying magic, he reached back to a demon from the back. Grabbing her leg, he lifted her up. He noted that the stars lit up on it were in vain if she is in his hands. And to climb his shadow, the Escaba hugged the girl, smiling happy. She jumped back on one of the stones, skillfully avoiding the shadows. He returned to her and asked why she got on the side of these characters. She replied that he was clearly not in reverence, but idle kind to all, calling him one-eyed. Throw him out the window, she followed him, warning not to understand her wrong. It was not her struggle. Corleo, along with Alicia, flew through the window after the demon. She remembered how the maneuver advised her to draw the demon properly, so she used the strength of strengthening. The truck moved forward, and the soil around a loud stroke. Corleo carefully landed, holding Alicia in his arms. He worried and asked if everything was fine with her. The hero was amazed that he could still move. He suggested that he probably used the shadows that fell from him to soften the blow. Alicia was surprised. The demon made some release. Suddenly, a man appeared in the cylinder and said that this is still enough. He was stunned. Minerva noted that this strange personality finally appeared. The man recalled that he asked not to kill Corleo, because he directed the Escab as a mentor. It may have come out of memory. He added that he would be glad if he was watching the hero a little more. Zero thought that this man had the smell of death that seemed to him. He could ask a demon whether someone had impressed him, but he replied that no, warriors in this world were quite invisible. He remembered that he was really alone, but it was unknown how strong he was, because his body was literally imbued with the smell of blood. Someone turned to a man in a hat and stated that he was convinced of his involvement in the whole incident. The man asked if he could be limited to a brief conversation and replied that he was he. The requester was the panel. He asked the man in the hat, which means the behavior of the one who laid everything on the shelves, especially his courage and plan. He categorically refused, noting that he did not approve of such immediacy. The cylinder noted that it begins to become crowded here. The hero suspected that the guy was behind all this, but could not understand where he came from. The guy apologized to explaining that he just wanted to talk to little Corleo, and smiled widely. Urva, Escaba, Corleo, and Alicia felt as they began to tighten them underground, could not understand what was happening. Everyone but the man in the cylinder disappeared. He thought it was new strange pranks. He asked if the man decided in the hat to leave him away. In response, he heard that the old man was better not to interfere with young people. He clicked his fingers, and a huge monster appeared behind him. He noted that it suits him more. With instant determination, he rushed to the monster, waving his sword. The guy in the hat was stunned. He did not fit in his head, which with this elderly man was wrong. Panelu was already prepared for the next attack. He promised to deal with him later. The old man disappeared into the dungeons. The guy said it was really worth it, and that he would definitely take it. With a smile, a girl called Minerva, and got a real pleasure in conversation. She wondered how about Alicia. The latter answered somewhat skeptical that she does not like it very much, and she asked not to be such a boredom, emphasizing that she was not so bad demonic lord. But there was some misunderstanding. The giant monster stood in front of them. Alicia noted that there was no time to talk now. Minerva shrugged. They say she was not like her creature. and then turned to the girl, asking if she could move. The girl replied that she would handle. She even thought that the girl may have lost too much blood and probably had broken bones. It seemed to protect this girl during the battle would be a real test. She decided that she should do her best and use flicker. The man in the hat was about to go down somewhere underground. He put in front of the hero and apologized for the delay. He decided that he should be introduced to first. The guy said Corleo could call him anything, but suggested choosing the name of Gish. The hero wondered that there was no Alicia and others here, and the one who divorced them. He called him an unhappy child. He added that if someone is blamed, then it should be the arrogant offender, Evan. They were both just imitation, so he suggested becoming friends. Running his hat, he asked if the hero agreed. He was headed by a strange eye. Noticing the wonder on the boy's face, he asked if he was not embarrassed. He explained that he needed the magical label of Lord Ender's demons, so he transplanted it. But over time it was so weakened that it became impractical. Corleo asked why he told him. The man replied that it would contribute to his own purpose. He said Indy restores his power while eating the labels of others. He had already allowed him to eat one, but it was far from enough. To achieve his goal, he needed a high-quality label. The following words went to Sin about how he had already allowed to finish, eat one label, and the loss of his mother's hand. That he especially needs the status of a hero. He believed that Grisha was very energetic. He said he would like to see how much Mark's characters developed. He asked permission to check everything in person. He saw Evan's face in a bright glow. He bounced with a cry. Corleo, stunned, heard that the guy said that it is great. Development goes to full, and compared to what he saw in the cemetery, it is the sky and the earth. The hero was stunned. The guy said he knew that Evans's label would work that way. Suddenly, the hero rushed forward and hit his man with his fist. He broke into a cry, demanding explanations from the guy how he could do it. Grisha calmly replied that the desire of people to fulfill their dreams is a natural desire. He grabbed Corleo firmly by his face. He asked if the guy wanted to say that he believed the words of Escobar. He shouted that it was all a lie, every word was a fiction, and that the hero is so good and naive that he would just break now. He shouted that he was his fault, that Alicia had suffered so much that he had to blindly trust the demonic lords. The hero cried. Recalling Alicia and her words, he could not hold back tears. Suddenly he managed to escape. He struck himself with his fist on his head. Grisha noted that it was creepy, and Corleo reflected the need to calm down. He could not afford to cry as if a child. It was necessary to calmly assess the situation. Asking a man where he transported Alice and others, he replied that they were near Enda and probably had already eaten them. The guy reached for the dossier. Wrapping his sleeve, he ordered the sinners to return Alicia and others to the hostel. If he fails, he threatened to cut off the label. He plunged with a formidable voice that the sin has only 10 seconds to bring them back. The guy exclaimed to stop him, because this joke was not fun at all. He wondered that the guy was really serious, and he was annoyed by these annoying eyes that encouraged such a step. He noted that he was not going to give up his assessment now, and on the contrary, he would be grateful if the hero had also improved its quality. Grisha mentioned something, and said he almost forgot to report the important news. He said that thanks to the intervention of Evan and N, the law on the mandatory union of the hero and the ruler of the demons has long been destroyed. He mentioned that he had already brought more than a dozen heroes and demonic leaders. He shouted that heroes and demonic leaders only need to fight, make efforts, and perform their appointments defined by these roles. He shouted to live for the sole purpose, to give him the highest quality honors. Sheiks shouted it all the time, claiming that they could not change anything, that a new bloody era was waiting for them, and that he should enjoy it. Waking up in the yard of the hostel, he immediately mentioned Alicia and moved forward. Suddenly, light flashed. Nerve and Alicia suddenly appeared in front of him. The first was all covered with blood. Corleo and he silently met. The tears rolled on the boy's cheeks. And only realizing that the meeting of the owners of demons is an inevitable and unchanging truth, which is sure to happen, he suddenly saw something important. The hero stated that he would put an end to the era of struggle between heroes and the owner of demons. He suddenly saw a ray of hope. Alicia said that he stored just over 1,000 copies of Enda's sword in his head, and those 3 who had overcome Penelope had the force of about 50 such copies. That such a powerful potential is not under the power of an ordinary hero or a demonic lord. He asked the old man where he had such power. He replied that everything is through training. Grisha doubted, they say, not to get such power. Penelov ordered to stop this senseless conversation until it was covered by the ice. Sin, smiling, confessed that he had another question left. A monster suddenly appeared behind the old man. He asked if he had chosen a grave. The old man denied, adding that he was afraid of it, because he feels as if he were slipping out of him. The hero woke up and realized that Minerva was still sleeping. From the fright, the heroine screamed loudly, slipping out of bed. It also woke up the girl. The hero wondered why she was not sleeping, and she replied that she could not fall asleep if she did not hug something. Looking into the room, he asked Corleo if he had that minute. The man nodded to consent. The interlocutor said that the management wants to discuss with the hero of the event last night. At this point, his thoughts were occupied by the fact that he had just watched. The hero turned to Minerva. She answered, and he thanked her for the protection of Alicia. The girl asked not to speak so officially, noting that it was not in his style. When Kiro came out, Ben noted that he had been a real test, and Kiro fought worthy. Remembering the hard words of guard, Corleo sadly added, "People were killed." He assured that no one was killed. He expressed the opinion that the demon was simply bluffing, trying to provoke a hero, because this part of the hostel is not used right now. He was disturbed, as if Mr. Paneloff did not get lost when returning. He also confessed that he did not know how powerful is sinful. Ben noted that he was not disturbed by power in this situation. In the second training hall of the Central Military Staff, Corleo persistently reflected the pair. He reflected on levitation and healing, and now he was certain that he was gradually getting acquainted with the diverse magic of the labels used by Evan. His blows made the pair a lot. The hero realized that in such a situation he remains one thing: to study and master these forces. He believed that he knew what to achieve, and he needed these abilities. But suddenly someone said that it is not necessary to fight this ruin, because it will help in training and remove the burden from his shoulders. Minerva noted that the chances of the best idol in this competition are very small, and it is not about the hero. They came together in a duel where the girl clearly dominated. The next time, when Corleo was planning an attack, he confessed that he constantly thinks what Atoll was. Minerva replied that these are dancing artists, singing, participating in popular competitions. They are fans, and most importantly, enjoy what they do. They were told that they were infinitely popular Mahachi idols, where they need to fight each other to the last. The public's pets and part-time are fighters. The hero was amazed. The girl noted that she had many fans who adore and honored her. She noted that love plays a key role, that the art of protection requires love in the soul. And Corleo lacks the power that follows out of love. He exclaimed that he did not understand why she clung to that love. But something was remembered very clearly. The hero remembered the proposal of Alicia, in which he stated that the hero was the meaning of his life. This was very surprised by the mineral. Laughing, she intervened in a conversation and confessed that she did not understand what she was talking about. Then they continued the workout. Julio neglected his hand on the girl's chest. She realized in a state of shock what had happened. The guy blushed and exclaimed from embarrassment. Continuing to shout, he begged for forgiveness. The demon noted that the boy should not panic, so because of a light touch to the girl's chest. She reminded that her figure was more impressive than it seems at first glance. The girl wondered if he had any words, which Corleo, blushing, exclaimed that her body was reminiscent of an unbreakable wall. He worked with dumbbells. When she saw it, Minerva was genuinely surprised. Minerva wondered what they were doing and whether Alicia was also training. She asked where Corleo. The demon replied that Corleo is still practiced. She noted that the girl should rest because she was most affected. Toss smiled. She said that the hero looked at her with tears because Mrs. Minerva had to tolerate it all because of her weakness. She also mentioned that her mom was gone and she has nowhere to go, so she does not want to remain who is constantly protected. She decided to become the meaning of life for Corleo. At first the demon was surprised, but then disappeared. The three again gathered together when Penella joined them. He was all beaten and confessed that he was tired to the edge. Ben praised him for his wonderful job. My grandfather confessed that he could not complete his business. The hero remembered Ben's words that he was not concerned about power. He was genuinely surprised. He said he came with a question. He wondered what temperature was in the places where they were moved. Alicia noted with interest that it was cold. The hero confirmed that he had. The old man summed up. They set two facts. He noted that the first fact was that the enemy's ability to teleport had some restrictions, and the place where they were moved was like them. He suggested that Sin could only move to selected points, and if he wanted to kill them, he would just throw them into the ocean. The second important detail is that its base is somewhere in the cold region, and it can say with confidence that it is the climate of the northern personality. This ended, and he was instructed to contact the northern headquarters. Ben accepted this task. Suddenly, Corleo stated loudly that Gish needed their honors. And to break his ambitions, it is important to use force. He argued that if Gish wanted the heroes and laviers to compete, developing their distinctions, they would attract them in their allies. The hero added that they are able to work together and ready to prove it. This time, Gish arrived in Eskava. The demon noted that it looks pathetic. Gish replied that he underestimated Penelov. He noted that this grandfather was a real natural miracle, and asked what is the matter. He said he lost 500 units of inventories, which was a significant loss for him. Simon reminded you not to forget his promise, and heard in response that you could rely on this promise. He assured that he would not depart from his, because the seeds were already sown. Meanwhile, a man sat in the central person behind the bar. He said that the dish was incredibly delicious and ready to admire it for hours. According to him, the chef deserves to promote. The young man thanked. The young man returned to the main cook, said goodbye, and asked to pay his order. On his hand, a special sign, a heroic symbol, was visible. He again emphasized the importance of calculation. He shouted at the master of the boss, accusing him that he dared to demand money from the hero, and advised to prepare for revenge. The master boss was struck. She communicated with the hero by phone. She assured that she would send more guards from the Eastern Army to find foreigners. Corleo thanked her. She began to speak something further, but heard someone's voice. He asks the hero if he was the same phone. He asked to wait, and not talk now. The woman heard screams in the handset. Minerva stated Corleo that he would be her hugging pillow while she was sleeping. Tot replied that of course, only once. He apologized to his mother and promised to call later. It shocked her. She screamed that he was pulled out. The guy asked where he was torn out. She shouted in response that some seducers pulled out Corleo from his shell. It was located in the Central Path, the western district of Rita. Alicia asked about the image in front of her. The characters noted that they have no time for nonsense, and are looking for a hero who did not pay for food. Ben noted that there were repeatedly evidence of a man who pretends to be a hero and does not pay for food. He suggested that the team survey the area that was affected by his actions to gather more information about the situation. She was not a girl, but at the same time she was. She dared to grab the hero and take him to where they would remain alone. Alicia was blurred from embarrassment, interested in what the problem and why the hero suddenly wanted to go to the restroom. The girl replied that nothing special happened, and offered to continue the way. While walking, she noted that the search area is too large for an ordinary person. Corleo noted that he was not even sure whether they would be lucky to find something. Finally, they managed to see the man who jumped on the roofs, while the others shouted that he did not pay for food. The heroes exclaimed in unison that they found him. He noted that Alicia was not in order, so he would have to go alone. She asked what plans he had. One replied that he went to check. He jumped forward again. Bran could not understand why these people were trying to take money from him, because he is a hero. Their meaninglessness did not fit into his head. Suddenly, he heard someone calling him to stop. I once saw someone constantly rushed with incredible speed. The guy was shocked that a man could have time for him. The hero shouted loudly, asking to stop. He convincingly assured that he did not intend to fight. Noticing the sign, they rushed at him. He asked what it means what they noticed, and whether he was a suspicious type that uses portal magic. The lion thought about who was real, but still could not understand what was happening. Meanwhile, he heard Elise shouted to him. Seeing her, the guy asked if she was a princess. And while in Corleo, he jumped to her. He was surprised, bowed respectfully, and, apologizing for his question, asked if she was a Princess Velvet, to which she replied that her name is Alicia. Walking into the whole voice, Rord announced that Princess Valdivia was standing in front of him. At this point, the girl also burst into tears. She jumped on her feet and quickly ran somewhere. The hero thought of himself. What a brazen. He was surprisingly fast, and even with Alice in his hands, his speed did not decrease. He realized that there was no other choice, and will have to increase the intensity of physical effort. The nerve explained to him that there were two types of physical intensification: ordinary segments and those spent. She warned that the use of the latter type can be dangerous for his body, which may not withstand such a tension. If someone wants to take the risk, then it is permissible to spend only one segment, otherwise, the bones will begin to collapse. She remembered that Corleo had appropriate treatment. She noted that if the circumstances were so that the victory is necessary at any cost, he should use it. He caught up with the boy and grabbed him for his chin. He shouted, demanding to release Alicia. At this point, everyone around began to run in different directions. He managed to pick up the girl in her hands. He exclaimed that he had already said that he was not going to fight and asked to listen to him. The young man stated that no pathetic fool would indicate him because he will only obey the princess. Alicia hotly urged the boy to listen to the words of Corleo. He immediately agreed. The hero spoke again about the other world, but doubted that he would believe immediately. However, the interlocutor noted that it has a foggy assumption. He noted that the princess was much more sophisticated, and when Alicia's nose, he felt something, and pretended not to notice. He may just not want to pay attention to it. The new moon noted that he had his own reasons to return home and promised to help them. After all, if he was able to move Gish to another world, then he will be able to turn it back. He announced that he would destroy the demonic rulers at any cost, will act on his own, and personally capture Grisha. Corleo shouted to stop because he would not solve it. The guy raced on the roof, remembering how the princess lived boldly with his dreams without shy. Ralph Reds reported that they signed a peace treaty with the army of the owners of demons, which would get more resources and start flourishing. The princess noted that these people live without wanting to live, but they die without intention to die. She stressed that it was necessary to change this situation and to direct their efforts not to revenge, but to serving people. The girl expressed the desire that people would feel joy about their life journey from beginning to end. She asked, "Wasn't it amazing?" Ralfred looked at the cut head. Fred was convinced that the destruction of evil and revenge for the princess was his righteous path. The demon asked why he did it, and who was actually guilty of this. Was it a reason that she was a man and he was a demon? Is it all the fault of those stupid signs? He thought of what the princess thought about in the last moments of her life. He cried, swore to destroy the demonic ruler, promising that he would find him even in the most remote corners of hell. A fiery flurry lifted behind Corleo's back. Enchanted, he did not realize what was happening and where that fiery pillar came from. He wondered, was it possible that it was Ralph Ed? But it seemed incredible. At this point, he remembered the words of the princess. People do not want to live without a true purpose and die, not feeling the desire to live truly. He decided to fulfill the will of the princess, who refused to accept this opinion. He argued with Minor, insisting that destroying evil is his duty. This is an indisputable truth. The girl in response asked if these words are too pathetic for money dependent. Fred and Minerva came together in a duel. Remember that guy that he is ready to kill demons at any cost. It seemed like a disaster, but after all, they met. At this point, Ralph Red was strongly swung. At this point, with the help of a magical marking with a shiny star, his vision was blurred. She took advantage of this opportunity to attack him, warning that it was dangerous to joke with fire. Suddenly the guy was able to clamp her with flame shackles. She was amazed. These were flame shackles, so this guy has fire. Ralph Red quickly pulled her to himself. He pulled it through a broken window into a building with statues. Minerva was able to hit him with his leg. She again took advantage of the magic of the signs and released from the shackles. The young man realized that she had forced him to get away from the shackles. The girl stated everything she thinks about him and hit him with his leg. Swinging down, she came to the conclusion that she could not overcome her. Sealed himself in a stone. Minerva felt that her legs were almost broken. He was too hardened in deadly battles. His world was harsh, and she realized that she would not be able to overcome it. The chance of winning was only to take advantage of the right opportunity, and cocaine and marker magic burns in Fern. The burning building was covered with flame tongues. He stated that he created a firestorm around her, which would not allow anyone to go or go out. The guy noted that this means one thing. This place would become his grave. She thought for a moment. She began to tell that it all started when she lived with her mother. The guy recalled that he had already given up history. But the girl continued. It was extremely bright and sunny that day. She saw that she was somewhere very far from here. Ralph Red loudly urged her to listen to him, telling her, Visha remembered that even before the events of the millennial ancient times, there was a race of people standing in opposition. It is said that among them was the antipode of the demon trucker hero. It is said that once their average height was 15 centimeters smaller than it is now, and this is a consequence of the impact of the blood of demons. The little mineral went to the class and apologized for late. The boys discussed why the girl was all in scratches, remembering that her mother was known for an explosive character. One of the girls survived a shock, asking not to make it out loud. "Minerva, listen to what's going on here." She stayed alone on the grass after the lessons. "An adult mineral has said that it would not become one of those horrific days today. We thought that in general, she did not hate her mother. On good days, she became gentle, and as a child, her daughter realized that the lone mother was trying his best. When she was 7 years old, a label appeared on her hand. Depending on the magical power of the label of the demonic lord, it could be neutralized in the government agency. However, the girl was recognized as safe and enabled her choice. She asked her mother if she was really confident, and reminded that if she leaves, her mother would receive financial support. She interrupted again to find out if she was confident and in money. She did not want to be called thoughtless. She kneeled in front of her daughter and said that her greatest treasure. She then added that the family has a different essence and asked not to talk about such sad things anymore. 3 days later, her mother sold a manure and became a hooligan. With more fierce, the girl sought to find a cozy place. This desire burned in it continuously. No matter where she was heading or doing, her soul could not find peace. Suddenly one day she was offered to become an idol. Success wandered the girl, and she was fighting confidently in the ring. In the crowd, shouts and shouts of her name were heard. Their commitment gave her confidence and peace. She was overwhelmed by a sense of pleasure. But one defeat turned into the loss of many fans. The horror enveloped her when she realized that the former devoted fans turned away. Childhood memories were rammed without stopping, and now she could only sleep 5 hours a week. She learned that her mother had recently died. However, the girl thought that she would definitely come to ask for money. She accepted it calmly. The girl remembered her mother's favorite phrase that he should love selflessly, and it will be rewarded. Her last memory became these pathetic words, and it was indignant. At that time, the mineral lay, pressing against the wall and flowing with blood. Ralph Red noted that it was not associated with bad magic, but rather with gaps in it. He wondered if the demonic bishop was behind it. Before his death, he asked the girl if she had something to say. He thought that he did not have the desire for blood. The guy, waving his sword, decided to get rid of doubt, to kill the demonic bishop and fulfill his vow. He wondered in Manure, or at least someone indifferent to her. He had an idea of who he was loved and who was not, and wanted to share it with him. But she thought about how I would like to find a place where I feel comfortable. She believed that to be among those who are loved, you can get at least crumbs of this feeling. She said she was jealous of him. The girl remembered her mother's words. She thought that even after her death, her mother remains a source of problems, leaving only a bad gift. She noted that she could not remember her face or voice, only the words that press on her. Mentally turned to her mother, calling her a waste of old. He broke into a building wrapped in flames and shouted to Minerva. The girl looked at him with surprise. Ralph reasoned that it was incredible. He could not survive a fiery storm, thanks to his magic signs that reduced harm or treated. He realized that it was unrealistic, because the hero used levitation, catching up with it. The guy could not understand how Corleo possesses 2 types of magic. Suddenly his sword split into 2 parts. Not having time to understand what happened, the guy decided. What is a consequence of a ruble stroke? He gestured with his fingers. Alfred asked what kind of magic they made these labels, and by whom the stranger was at all. The hero quickly asked him to remove his hands from Minerva. Fred asked what a spell for labels, and whom the Corleo was. The stranger stood confidently opposite him. I thought, treatment, levitation, cutting are at least 3 types of magic that he has never heard of. Corleo thought about the reaction of the label to clear goals. He began to guess something and about so worked by the Evans label. He realized that it was necessary to realize in more detail. Focusing on the protection of the manor, he strongly waved his hand. Ralph Red was also preparing for the attack, but the hero disappeared suddenly. He only tried to keep his attention on the protection of manor, continuing his actions. He asked the manor if she was fine with her. She smiled bitterly and asked if it looked. The guy stuck her eyelids and overshadowed his eyesight, trying to destroy the magic label that disarmed Corleo. So why did he come at all? Red up, she asked again why he came. He replied that she was his hope. Ashamed, the girl repeated the question once again. He expressed his gratitude for the salvation of Alicia, because the loss of the girl would have caused him to be irreparable. Minerva pointed to him the right way, so now he is confident in his actions. The hero noted that there is no doubt from now on. He cannot lose her, and this battle is his own. Fred considered Corleo's ability unusual, but not very dangerous, so the situation remained unchanged. He ordered the hero to leave, assuring that he would deal with a demonic lord. However, he shouted that he would not go anywhere, and that Minerva was not so bad. He exclaimed, asking that Corleo could know about him at all. Corleo replied that he did not say anything like this, and wanted to discuss everything. The princess from the palace went down to the prisoner. The boy asked if he was Ralph Ed. He looked at her silently. She introduced himself. "My name is Volveda. Did you hear something about me?" The guy replied that he had heard about her, they say. She was a daughter of an arrogant and spoiled nobleman. He noted that the hero born in the slave caste never fits into their plans. There was a sign on his hand, and also said to wait. He would ensure that all the nobles get his cold revenge. Pearl began to shoot his shackles. Ralph Red was surprised to ask what she was doing. The princess apologized, confessing that she did not know which of the keys. But here, his hand was released. Evita noted that the shackles were staying on their feet and asked the boy not to move. He didn't understand what was happening. He considered that the Princess of Volveda was born due to marriage between royal families of people and demons. This political union was concluded to assert the idea of coexistence between the two worlds. Walking through the forest, the girl told them that she would soon have a little brother or sister. She confessed that the brother wanted, but she wondered if he would be a man or a demon. Fred said he was indifferent, boasting whether she is sure because he can kill her at any moment. The princess calmly replied that she did not care, but asked her to solve the country's problems. She wanted to overcome slavery, internal conflicts, discrimination, and poverty, because the world seemed artificial here. She turned to Ralph Red and asked him to stand on her side. She confessed that she puts her fate on him, and at the same time asked to trust her life instead. The guy learned that the next day was staged a false execution. He was captured by the impressive purity of this girl's soul. 2 days later, a younger brother demon appeared in the Princess Volvid. After 18 years, she was beheaded by her older brother, a demon. After completing the magical ritual of collecting the mayor of the call, he will be able to fulfill any desire associated with death. In the unpredictable turn of the princess's fate, his own brother, marked with a sign of demonic lord, killed. Her death only ignited hatred between people and demons, and the dreamy world that she sought to create was distorted and despised by the treacherous lord of the demons. Or more precisely, what left it was knocked out of his hand. Sleeping into the floor, Minerva could not believe that Corleo became stronger than this guy. He noted that the power of the Ralford sign weakens, and his clear goal became blurred. The guy said that he noticed how he loses his hostility to Minerva, and loudly ordered to silence. He stuffed something into the corleostomy. It seemed to him that it was impossible. The hero was seriously injured. The guy, calling him a stubborn lamb, asked to listen carefully. He mentioned his past and the way of thinking, saying that he did not understand his desire for revenge. But no matter how cruel it may be, and no matter how well it is justified, it is indifferent to him. And thoughts could not arise that this is a reason to kill Manure. Tears flowed from his eyes. The edited was stunned. At that moment, Corleo swung his fist. Gathering all his strength in one hand, he prepared to strike. Rita once told Ralford that she may have come out of the way one day, so she asked him not to hesitate and help her find the right road again. The guy asked what would happen if he was lost. The girl returned to him. Smiling, she noticed that in this case she would give him a real pilgrim. The guy hesitated for a moment. He confessed that he was still silent about it. But the frame, the road of her heart from the age of 8, was damaged. "You can buy a new one," he joked. The princess smiled and struck him lightly. After the impact of Corleo, Ralph Red stretched on the floor. He did not even notice when it happened, when he began to manipulate the will of the princess and made his reason for revenge. The hero asked if he managed to cool. The guy nodded affirmatively. He noted that he was strong. The guy got 2 bottles out of his pocket. He explained that it was a high-speed ointment for burns, and suggested applying it in a demon. He thought about the princess and reflected whether it was possible to believe in this naive dream of the unification of heroes and demon lords, at least as long as he was in this world. Breaking away from his thoughts, he looked at Corleo, who gave the medicine satisfied. Earlier, Corleo stopped Ralph's rage and found a cure for his burns, surprising a lot of screaming. She pointed to the medication more carefully to cover the damaged skin. The hero replied sharply that he was in the course and asked to be silent. The girl was embarrassed when she remembered recent communication. She wondered what height he was. The hero replied that he did not know exactly, but a little more than 170. Minerva noted that she thought. He returned to them, apologized, and noted that the princess always said, "Guests should behave as locals." He asked permission to apologize for his act, lowering his finger under the sword. He shouted that he was not stopped, they say, so in his world they solve similar issues. The hero replied that he was behaving improperly and asked to stop. Minerva supported, but added that, in her opinion, he could do this way. The guy lowered his head and confessed that he had served his lady for so many years that he did not even imagine how to be himself. He was convinced that without her leadership would not be able to make even the simplest decisions. He said that in this case he could serve him. The guy remembered how Volvita offered him to become her servant. Corleo noted that everyone was about how to catch Grisha and return into his own world, but these plans were just the end goals that can still be waiting. First, you should apologize to all the establishments from where he escaped without paying, and that is where you need to start. He noted that the arson of the building is no longer a matter that can be resolved. But Ralph emphasized that this should not be worried about it, because the fire will not harm the building because it was made safe. He asked to wait a little, and assured that he would fix everything now. An explosion came. Alicia ran to them and asked how they felt, assuring that there was nothing to be afraid because she is nearby. They were surprised. They were dressed in suits. They gladly welcomed the guests. He promised to engage in partial restoration of the church, the repair of which would require considerable funds. In addition, he planned to calm the witnesses to be silent. To reduce unnecessary worries, he instructed others to cope with the questions related to the cafe. He shouted at them that they should not be bored because as a retribution, they would plow the earth to full force. The guys agreed. The manager was called with a message about a large shipping order. Many dishes were cooked for a large company. The boys took the task and went to deliver food while keeping the boxes. The hero appealed to Ralph to ask the question. Ralph said what kind of question he was interested in. He asked why a man ate free food at all. He confessed that he realized that he had no money, but denied that in his world heroes tend to work for free, and no one demanded them fee for food or accommodation. The hero also noted that the cultures of other worlds are really very different, and in his world there is not even magic of labels. About Evan and End, he did not know personally, so he could not say for sure, but in appearance they seemed extremely unusual. However, there was no time for conversations, because the dog suddenly appeared in front of them, and she exclaimed that Doberman attacked her baby. The boys were shocked, not waiting for such a turn of events. They hurried down instantly, and Ralph immediately grabbed the dog. Herman calmly curled into the guy in his hands. The guy turned and saw Corleo hugging the baby. The man noted that it was really possible to just take the dog. He remembered the conversation with the princess. He suggested returning to the talk about the labels of Evan and N. He noted that the sooner someone receives a label, the stronger it is. For example, if a baby receives a label in the womb, it is called a mother's label. He noted that in his world it is almost like a legend. Their power is incredible. It is rumored that if evil takes place with such a thing, the world will decline immediately. It was said that if the signs on the Evan and Enda's body were indeed maternal, Corleo definitely deserves to have one. He looked at a woman who hugged her son, and then looked at the broken boxes. He reasoned how they would resolve delivery issues. At this point, the girls, already noticeably tired, were sang in microphones, and they exclaimed that they just take the money because it was chic. All four returned to the headquarters. Minerva confessed that she had not been singing for a long time, and from which she felt a real influx of energy. Alicia also noted that he never wants to experience something like that. The demon asked if it was true that she liked more than him. The girl assured that not at all. The guy walked, tilting his head when Corleo slightly pushed his elbow. He immediately apologized to everyone. He asked permission to help 3, ready to put his life on the map while he is in this world. He stated that he would capture and return to his world not for the sake of revenge, but to protect people. That he seeks to destroy the demon lord Iskab. Everyone was surprised to look at him when the hero intervened. Others asked if they knew him. The demon replied that when it comes to that creepy one-eyed man, yes, they met. She asked what it means. Alicia suggested that they were being sent here in pairs. Russia applied the magic of the owner of the demons and the advice of Cliques of Kisiru, which takes care of corpses. He said that this magic of the mark was incredible. It hid the ability to influence everything related to death, and with such force you could do anything. However, it could only use less than 5% of its potential. The gum asked what he was leading. The Fot replied that Corleo had collected a complete quartet and had just completed his 4, including the Scritic. He said he now seeks to collect honors, but wants their quality to grow after several battles. Escoba wondered when the battle began, for which Sin asked a little time to think. He asked how to start right now, because 4 figures appeared over the headquarters. These were 2 boys and 2 girls, including Asgaba, who landed on the building, reported from proxies. A group of suspicious persons spread chaos in different parts of the central headquarters. Grisha shouted desperately so that they would all die. It has been announced that it is probably an unexpected attack of heroes or demonic lords, so all military ordered to prepare for evacuation or possible clash. But Alicia felt fear. A broken wall appeared in front of them. The people of Sin invisibly penetrated inside. Seeing Alicia, the Earl stated that the acquaintance found weak. She realized that she was a demonic lord from her world, which was captured. Shia told 4 demons lords that he would soon send them to the headquarters of the Central Army, where they would have to get rid of death a little. However, all their efforts will be rewarded. It may be the resurrection of the dead, an increase in strength, eternal life, etc. The instructors noted that when storing portable devices, they should collect tags by taking one of each. Grisha added that the other is the other. His potential is so great that it is not necessary to collect a tag from it. He wished everyone success. The usual lords captured the headquarters, but Kuplu used the magic of the sign. Alicia shouted to the hero to make him running faster. The icy visors hit Corleo with frantic force, pushing it out. He realized that it was amazingly powerful ice magic of the sign. During the fall, he was seized by a cube of the shot, pointing to an interesting room nearby. Having created an ice slide, they used it to get the right place. She suggested that the battle there. The hero flew out the window, and in the flight noticed a Bista. Grisha noted that among all demonic lords and Corleo heroes, he was the most valuable, and asked him not to kill. She imagined how she had to break him completely. Meanwhile, the hero wondered if it was an assistant to Sin. Alicia flew into the room, breaking the wall, and with force waved his fist. Alicia struck the pile, but he created an icy shield. She screamed to turn the demon back. The demon asked why the girl was so confused, calling her run. She had to try to attack again, but the demon retreated and, using the ice, walked through the water of the pool. He approached Corleo and asked if everything was fine. He nodded and thanked. She stated that she was a demonic lord of a commercial from another world, a soulless and cold-blooded lord who ended the era of people. The hero said that she is connected with the sinner, which means that there is only one way out. They realized that it should be stopped. She looked around, asking what was a place and why there was a pond inside. The guy replied that it was a regular indoor pool, probably for military training. The girl exclaimed it was bad. The whole room was covered with ice, and the characters felt a strange feeling inside. The girl asked if this man belonged to her, pointing to Corleo. She wondered if Alicia fled to another world to find this guy. And then she said that one of them offended her, calling her worthless. The cold penetrated the floor, and the girls felt their feet begin to freeze to it. The hero exclaimed to her, realizing that it was impossible to move. The Lord Demon stated that none of them will be able to destroy her ice alone. She would allow Corleo to stay alive, but Alicia will go to her mother. When she was little, her mother often asked her, or she was fine. The little girl replied that yes, everything is fine, but she added that the rains did not subside, and it is very cold. She asked when the rains would finally come. The mother advised her to think. The rainy season lasted more than half a century, correlated with the witchcraft of the cup label. Thanks to continuous drains, it could attack anywhere, and people began to live in isolation to avoid its threats. Taylor told Alicia that she believes the rain will stop if she remains a polite girl. At the age of 9, a hero's label appeared on her hand. The mother of the girl, Asia, reported that if someone learns that the hero is hiding in their village, a great threat may arise. She was advised to take Alicia and leave the village to avoid danger. When they walked through the forest, Ola asked her mom whether she needed to become stronger to defeat the demon. She hesitated. Everyone asked if peace would prevail. Mom replied that, perhaps. She noted that the next master of the demons would probably think like her, and in the end, the best result would be if everyone had learned to get along. She asked her mother if she was difficult for her. The woman gently clenched her daughter's hand and asked her to listen carefully. She advised when the girl becomes an adult to find a good person for whom she will be the most valuable in the world. She advised to choose the one who appreciated her even at the most difficult moments when she wants to escape. The neck confessed to her mother that she is the most expensive man in the world. The woman went. 10 years of their lives were in a constant escape until a terrible abscess on her mother had a terrible abscess, which deprived her of the opportunity to walk. In order to avoid danger from the capsule, her mother wanted her daughter to get to a place where she could not get. She apologized, noting that the girl in her life was only difficult. She said that one day the girl would be rewarded one day. She asked Alicia to live. She expressed his hope that he would find the meaning of her life. The girl stopped to stand in the rain. She would have to turn to her mother, but it was not visible anywhere. She hated the sound of the rain because she was convinced that he was mocking her mother's voice. She saw her mother but did not hear her. Suddenly she realized that she had already died because her mother had already died. She returned to her mother and gladly reported that she found her. Now she has a reason to continue to live. With desperate determination, Alicia rushed at the Lord Demons. She was amazed that the girl managed to punch the ice. Having looked at Corleo, she realized that the case was not in her, but in it. She screamed that the girl would deflect her arms from the hero. She created new icy pillars using the power of Gu's Rikareki to strengthen. The girl easily overcome all obstacles. Zero said that he had a flame in his hand during the battle with Ralph, and he used it to weaken the ice. He confessed that he could die without understanding the magic of the landowner, but if they heated their bodies with these flames, they would be able to move. Getting out of the ice captivity, Corleo wondered if everything was fine with the girl. She said yes. She remembered her mother and called the children of the hero with herbs. Amazed by Mark's incendiary energy, Grisha told her that the famous hero has only the ability to heal in levitation. She remembered his words that the Corleo label was special. It seemed to her that he was developing faster than expected, and suggested that he may have other abilities. Even in this case, she should be careful. She fought with a willingness to kill. The hero asked Alicia to reach out to him. She obeyed. Feeling embarrassment, she saw a flame appeared in her hand. Coral used the flames of the root and further strengthened its strength. The stones flew in different directions. The hero complained of a shrill cold, while the digging shouted that he was hot. The hero exclaimed to her, asking why she obeys Grishka. He reproached that the heroes and lords of the demons were only his paw, and though he did not understand what benefit they had from it, but not seeing they just used. Kada told the capsule that she would receive a reward for her efforts. He noted that, for example, he could resurrect her favorite creature. The girl wondered if one of the characters had children. All were puzzled. Alicia wondered what the question was. The owner of the demons replied that Sin was able to resurrect the dead. Everyone was amazed. The girl asked if they realized now. She explained that until they find themselves in one place, they never understand that it was impossible. Only if their loved ones are alive will they have a chance to grasp the truth. Alicia stated that it is quite natural not to understand. She noted that everyone knows that reality is cruel and ruthless. The scars remain forever, and the dead do not return. Despite the pain and loss, people continue to live, even if it requires willpower. Kyle demanded to stop escape from reality, calling the capsule cowardly liar. She replied that her intentions were transparent. Suddenly, some creature began to manifest itself from the pool. In the community, Fernal Hail suddenly over the heroes emerged a giant monster. The girl wished to die with horror. She shouted to Corleo, and he replied that he understood everything. At this point, the giant mouth monster rushed to them, threatening to absorb. She struck, putting all her strength, but it did not even cause cracks. Using the blow, she turned the monster into a pile of stones. Bishop Demon asked how they did it. Monsters appeared again. The girl asked what to do next, what Corleo thought she was mocking. He noted that her stocks of the labels were hardly exhausted, although the magic was extremely powerful. The hero remembered that in a humid environment, she almost does not spend energy on her magic of labels. He was aware that the situation would only deteriorate, and soon their strength would not be enough to restrain her attacks. The hero did not know how to proceed, but he knew exactly what to look for a way to break through his defense or find a way out. Alicia did not understand when he ordered her to run. She said that from her words it follows that it is not going to kill him yet, because it is necessary to reduce losses, and this is the best option. The girl asked what a man was carrying. The hero shouted to calm down and listen to him. He ordered her to run up immediately. After picking up his bat, he rushed to run. The purchased in surprise wondered if the real one who is running away and whether it is normal. He said that in this form, Alicia is a real coward that ran all her life, starting from birth. Toro ordered her to silence. Behind her, an opponent was coming with an intention to show aggression, but she skillfully built an invisible wall. He stressed that she was the only coward he met. The other began to doubt his words. Lord used magic to grab it and pull it up. The monster almost good to him, but the hero had time to evade. Corel advised him to repeat who she was there, and Carilio replied that he had already said, as she considered her coward. He noted that they were from different worlds with her. He grew up in peacetime, where he felt carelessly, and it formed other ideas and values, but it is not sure. However, the hero is certain. To hurt others for the sake of your own benefit is wrong. Moreover, her world confirms this existence of another person. She claimed that Alicia is much stronger than her. After that, Alicia asked whether the capsule was coming to the battle, a demon lord from her world, so that she could deal with him. She noted that the capsule, albeit a cruel and sad demon, and put an end to a number of murders, is her duty as a dedicated hero. She strongly stated that she would stop the evil Kupal. She rushed rapidly from the height right at the Lord Demons. The person realized what exactly means the request to rise up. Alicia said that when the situations were required by an instant response, she always erected a protective wall. Stones poured on top of the demons. The hero in one voice stated that in the protective reductions of that person, the weakness was cowardice, fall down together. Cupsula hit the rock with a loud blow, and the girl quickly rushed to her. Julio returned to Alicia and expressed his joy that she understood his hints. The girl said that she would never think that he had told her to silence and listen. At the same time, she confessed that she considers him much more masculine and steep than usual. She suddenly apologized and asked what she was talking about. Then she added that it doesn't matter and can be forgotten. The sleepy hero agreed, exclaiming that they had won. The hero asked Alicia why she stripped her. She replied that it was done so that the Lord Demon could not use the magic of the label. She noted that until they could completely restrain her strength, strip her to allow the ice to exhaust her magic was the most appropriate solution. Corleo revealed a little eyes. The girl was lost. The girl noticed she scared him and asked what had happened. Alicia noted that he looked a little strange. The hero replied that they should be kept on the capsule's eye. The girl agreed. The men ordered them to silence what she replied that they were cracking. They stated that they were weak and had to kill her or cut her left hand. Corleo turned to the girl. He mentioned that suspicious groups were noticed in several places. He asked her if she was the only one who was sent here and why she listened to Sin. He expressed his desire to avoid conflict with her, if possible. The girl replied that such words were only empty chats. It is easy to talk about, but it's hard to do, and they are tired of these clichés. She ended it, and it was on such conditions that she was ready to act. She stated that she was indifferent to everything else, that only her son came to life again. Grisha gave her a portable anda and ordered her to collect with the help of a label. He swore that her son would be resurrected, but provided that in case of failure, he would take her a label. The girl agreed, and the portable anda is comfortable on her shoulder. The bulletin advised Corleo to gain strength, so that the sinner would return the power of Nen as soon as possible. A terrible monster appeared behind her. The hero rushed forward. He picked up the girl, dragging her away from the voracious monsters. However, during the rescue operation, his eye was injured. The Lourdes's hand was bitten, and the blood poured out of the wound. Corleo mentioned the case with his mother. The girl asked him what he was doing and why he decided to save her, that he just couldn't even allow someone to die. The capsule considered him too good. It was difficult for her to understand that it was not so much with this hero. Someone raised a copy of the book, End. Grisha stated that this situation simply does not fit in his head. He asked what the point of rescuing the owner of the demons. Grisha recognized him. He said it was worth thank the purchased for the sign, because about 10% of the original power of this magic was collected. Grisha suggested that he experience this force. I apply the magic of the sign of Tsika. Corleo froze in place. The boy appeared calling the capsule Mom. She saw it loudly, calling Eugene. The boy melted and disappeared without a trace. Grisha stated that it was a nasty sight that contaminated his favorite cloak. He added that it seemed that nothing good was to wait for such a wonder. He got a blow to the face of the hero with flames on his palms. He was asked how many he should be injured in his selfishness before he calms down. Condemning, one of them asked if the heart had a sin. Another noted that their meeting was not in vain, because the boy grew up so much that it resembles a child from their family. He thanked the boy for growing up, as if for himself. The speaker announced that at this time, the attack of the headquarters by the demonic lord is accompanied by a chaotic invasion of 1/8 monster, which rage everywhere. She noted that these monsters are reminiscent of those who have already received reports. They have now been noticed in the corridor on the ground floor of Building B, in offices 500 and 503rd on the same floor, as well as on the 2nd and 3rd floors of Building B. He roared on Grisha, demanding to explain what he did. Grisha replied that he was trying to weaken the rouse, because no matter how powerful the old man, he will not be able to cope with a crowd of opponents scattered in different places. The hero shouted to stop immediately. If he needs this sign, let him take it right now. Six shouted to him not to interfere. Corleo mentioned Grish, warning against the involvement of strangers in the case, and called for stopping them in battles. Someone replied that the boy's sign was still growing, and she was not ready for gathering yet. Minerva appeared. She wondered what he was thinking about her sign. He and the hero looked into each other's eyes, and she only showed his tongue. She noted that he was performing himself for Monica with her. The girl asked if it was about a girl. She replied that she not only beat her, but even won completely. The guy noted that her sign was weaker than Kupsala. He noted that though the idea and the original, the result can be troubled. Grisha said that if Minerva supports him, then she will no longer need strangers. He looked at him with surprise. I didn't understand what this man thinks about. His words seemed meaningless, and the situation was too suspicious. She was thinking about whether to give the manure to this stranger. The girl went into thought. The girl agreed, and it made the hero to shout at her, not understanding why she made such a decision. She said that she met a group of these one-eyed people here, and if left unattended, there would be problems. She believed that their departure would be more useful. And although it was only an assumption, it is unlikely that Sins will immediately dare to kill her. The interlocutor confirmed that she guessed. He exclaimed that he would categorically disagree. Alicia supported him. Gerva assured that she has already stated she was not going to die, and believes that this step would save them. The hero exclaimed that she only points to the sky without proof. You cannot trust Sin. The girl replied that his lips was very confused. The owner of the demons stated that he would still come to save her, and wondered if it was true. He confidently replied that he would certainly come. The girl kissed him again. Alicia and Grisha, who watched it, were red with embarrassment. Minerva lifted her finger up, and Grisha noted that he was now one step closer to her dream. Corleo should come. He said that if he wants to return Minerva, he should at least bring him a quality appreciation. Then Gisha was teleporting the girl. The enemies retreated, capturing the mineral in captivity, and Corleo vowed to save her. He and Alicia remained in place, thinking. The girl asked if he was fine, and Corleo asked if she could move, adding that there was a lot of things ahead. At this point, Ralph Red argued with Iskaba. Their voices were breaking silence. The hero remembered the words of Corleo, who suggested quietly discuss the situation. Entering the room with the sword, Ralph called him to flee him, but the UE demon was already preparing for the attack. The hero rushed to defend his friend, almost crashing into the wall. The demon did not expect it. He realized that he rose into the air, taking advantage of the flames to avoid a deadly blow. Ralph returned to Asgab. He asked why he killed the Princess Volvidia, his sister, which so distorted his soul, and why he conquered Grisha. The man has not yet had time to answer how black shadows appeared around his feet. The hero was surprised when all the demons, including those who retreated, began to be teleported underground. Ralph could not understand the cause of their sudden disappearance. The one-eyed monsters who were fighting the military also began to melt right in front of. Cherva assured Corleo that everything would be fine. She did not believe that Cini would have taken her with her if he planned to deprive her of her life. Cherva noted that it was important to do then. She confessed that she hid a little demon lord here, and he was near the entrance. The girl said she had a small clash with a demon, but hopes to lure it on their direction. Cherva believed that the demon had valuable information about Grish, and it was impossible to lose this opportunity. The hero decided to lure her to his side. Corleo discovered the demon of the demons and managed to intercept it during teleportation. It surprised her. He was almost late. Suddenly the mound was screaming loudly. She realized that she slipped. The girl immediately rushed at him to attack. She wondered how the hero was going to pay for it. He could not understand that he was a mysterious magic with labels. And why did these amazing dog ears? Grisha said he could only take them once, and now she could not return. Corleo turned to Monica. But she assured that you will not deceive her. It was said that if you kill the hero Corleo, the root of all evil, then the world will only be filled with smiles. This is what Grisha argued. In her opinion, the hero was a great stench enemy, and it surprised Tata. He wondered how easy it is to deceive the baby. He could then speak her teeth too. Monica took advantage of Mark's magic, and the feathers were circling around. Applied the technique of forming the mythical creatures of Juju Genjen. The girl rose into the sky on her wings. Corleo was very surprised, thinking that her look like a dog is also a consequence of the magic of the label. Monica flew out the window, stating that as long as she retreats, Monroe wanted to ask her to wait, but on his belt he noticed one monster. He thought it was the same one who tried to eat a copulous label and jumped out with determination. The girl was suddenly dragged down. The hero grabbed her by his foot and urged to stop. She also screamed that she was tired and asked what he wanted from her. The guy said loudly that he needed her. Monica was astonished in surprise. She handed him and immediately bounced back. She believed that this guy felt her completely, and now she was convinced that he fell in love with her. In her head, the idea was that she is a woman demon, and he is a hero, and this is their forbidden love. He shouted Monica, asking whether the things that hung on his belt gave her sin. He called her out loudly from them to get rid of them. However, the girl replied that she was not going to do it. Grisha warned that he had handed her to steal their labels, and if she was not cautious, he may die. But she shouted that she was a lie, and she didn't believe him. The guy asked why she was so trying to protect Grisha. The girl replied that because he asked her to take care of her. But he said that he trusts her, called her a good girl. She noted that she finally felt in her place in this world. Fearing deception, she demanded the truth. At that moment, the monster escaped from her belt and began to grow rapidly. Corleo grabbed the girl by the hand and ran with her. Corleo looked at the girl, while the monster grew in front of them. He realized that he would not have the desired one blow, so he decided to impress him on his first attempt. It was crushed into numerous pieces. Instead, only pebble stones are left. Monica was stunned. The hero reported that the product tried to destroy it so that she did not tell information about her and Grisha, and the attack was caused by the fact that he prevented her from escaping. The girl pulled the sword. Leaning before her, he stated that Grisha had stolen his friend. He stated that he came to find out about him, and although it is selfish, perhaps the girl will be better with Grish. But Grisha uses it for his own purposes. He cannot promise that she will be safe with him, but does not want to give her Grish. Monica thought about his request to stay with him. It seemed to her that he invited her to be near him forever. Red with embarrassment, she noted that if he insists, she has no reason to give up. Corleo rejoiced and thanked her sincerely. Suddenly, someone appeared. It was Alicia that noticed the hero. She waved his hand. She told him that she had handed Kapshala to the doctors as he asked, and that he was probably the wounded already moved to the building. The hero remarked that he was beautiful, and praised the girl. She wondered whether miners spoke about this girl. Corleo confirmed that he added that she would cooperate with them. Monica tensed up, exclaimed that she really changed her mind. He noted that Mitsk never returned, and if it came back, they would have to eat. But that didn't happen. He turned to Minerva, asking if she had done something. The girl replied that she did not know anything. Perhaps the beautiful prince secretly brought her somewhere. Aisha reassured, they say, nothing wrong, because miners would still be a repository. It was repeatedly questioned, that it will become a repository for the revival of the hero of Evan, the carrier of the mother sign. Throwing his eyes back and forth, Grisha asked Corleo what his further plans. As you ask about it, Grisha added that Mr. Panov seemed to be near him. He was told that the demon is very strong and has powerful strokes. The old man noted that he would like to pull out at least one arm or leg of the demon, but he was able to escape. He said that the Central Army suffered significant losses. In addition, many soldiers died. This maneuver was stolen. The hero intends to stop it. With a serious look, Ben noted that not everything was lost. He said that they managed to detain Monica, and as soon as they receive information from it, we need to prepare for the fight against Grish. He approved Corleo, noting that Mr. Panolo is skilled in the fights, so the guy became a great help. The old man apologized, adding that Mrs. Monica would soon arrive. The man in the glasses ran, shouting that Monica fled. The hero was amazed. Alicia escaped. Corleo explained that this happened because of the magic of Monica. He argued that this sign is extremely flexible and versatile, capable of turning into different animals. Perhaps Alicia became a cat or mouse and fled. He just couldn't understand why she disappeared, though she agreed to stay with him. She thought for a moment. She assumed that the mouse may have been just offended. The hero asked what she knew. After falling on the floor, he reported that his legs were almost not moving. The girl replied that he did not leave the room at all. Raindrops began to appear on the glass. She said she had to hurry. Alicia looked out the window and assured him not to worry. On the bench in the gazebo was sitting lonely. She was pressed by sad thoughts about Corleo and Alicia. Suddenly, under the influence of anger, she called the girl a pig. Suddenly, she appeared behind. She fell. The surprised Monica asked how the girl found her. She replied that she was looking for a place to hide from the rain, and she was lucky to come across a Monica immediately. The girl noted that it is raining when the soul is bad. The worst combination was not possible. They sat on a bench. Alicia noticed that the journey to the other world was really striking. She wondered Monica's opinion about this and asked her to listen. She asked if the girl sympathized with this character, but she was discouraged and blushed. Monica immediately warned her not to try to deceive, because even dog ears can catch the slightest lie. Lisa was silent. The girl dropped the shoes, saying that she despises liars and those who enjoy the privileges like the person. She added that she had no parents, which is different from others. She noted that she had no parents anymore. She asked if the girl met minors, adding that in the same circumstances. She also mentioned Corleos, focusing on her foster mother. She asked if she was not lying. Alicia told about Corleos. When she fainted from his wounds, he all this time remained nearby, as Minerva said. When she woke up, she saw a hero in tears and decided to see her sleeping. He drew attention to his serious facial expression and trembling hands. She said he was a pox, who tried to look strong, and she liked it. She didn't want him to be injured. And since the mineral was abducted, she was convinced that he would have new problems. The girl lifted Monokini's shoes. She noted that the girl may not trust her, but called for Corleo, because she would never have failed and humiliate her. She asked the girl to stay. As I said, she is still unusual to stay in one team with a hero, but she can take this situation. The girl called Alicia with a cow and asked if she got an increase in this way. Remembering something, the girl asked if Monica did not cross the street to the red light. Alicia said she saw something big, like a donut on a stick that was standing in the middle of the road. Monica said she was unknown about it, because she saw only greenish objects. Then she wondered what would happen if you cross such an object. Alicia warned that she heard of a curse that strikes from afar and brings death, and he shouted that this person was lying. The girl replied that Corleo himself told her, so it's not a fiction. She wondered what this world is incredibly meaningless, and what her own survival should be decent. The hero with an umbrella approaches them and notes that it is good that Alicia found a girl. Meanwhile, the girl quickly rushed away. The hero noticed an umbrella. He noted what it was raining, why it was not revealed. Corleo replied that he had brought it to them, although he could reveal the road. Alicia noted that it was stupid on his part. Suddenly Zero was mentioned somewhat important. Thanks to the Trinity, he, Alicia and Minerva, only Minerva's magic had no attacking force. Everyone in the room studied his gaze. Vanel asked what it means. Ben replied that it meant that she was the perfect candidate for imprisonment. Corleo confirmed that it was right. He realized this when Monica fled so easily. Grisha confirmed his assumption that he would not kill the minor immediately, and most likely he was going to keep it. Loco lowered her head. The hero reported that she remains in his plans, although the reasons remain a mystery to them. The girl agreed with this, noting that Sin did not intend to kill a tall woman. What he will make a vessel from which this guy Evan will call. Corleo was very surprised and asked why it was necessary. People replied that she knows no details on who this guy Evan is. However, Grisha noted that if he was resurrected, it would bring a victory. She was confident in his sincerity. Panel asked the hero if this Evan was so powerful. One of them replied that he still thought for the ease to say that he was confident in the power that could destroy the whole world. The old man was confused for a moment, that the ability of the Sin to be resurrected is not fully mastered. The fastest way to improve it is the call of the spirit. It needs a vessel. Because he has not done it yet, Sin is missing. It was said that they still have time, so the main task, according to the character, is to find the enemy base during the surgery to save Minerva. Monica denied. indicating that, despite the power of the old man, this attack proved their team could not survive such a fight. Returning to her, the girl screamed that this battle was defeated. Even with her help, Corleo and the cow only come to meet the inevitable death. He thanked the woman, who was pleasantly surprised. He noted that despite the horrific enemies who were waiting for them, he was most frightened by the thought of losing everyone without doing anything. She smiled and noted that she had already heard like that. Monica turned away, adding that the hero from her world, Cido, distinguished people who deal with spirits and ghosts. This is not only sinful, and meeting with Cido will help them identify a weak place of sin. A man in glasses ran to report the news. He exclaimed that the message had been received. In the Western Persimmon noticed a hero named Cido. Everyone was quite surprised. They decided to go to Western Persimmon. He said he went to the north to find Sin. He noted that his base is located somewhere in the north of Persimmon, and he, together with the headquarters of the Northern Army, would try to find it. Others advised others to follow the west to find the hero of Cido. The video told Ralph everything and asked about his wounds. He replied that things were bad and most likely he could no longer help in the north. He apologized. The hero looked closely at him. He said they were going for the sake of business, and that he would never forget Ralph's words when he asked for permission to change his life to help them. He resolutely stated that they would definitely return the mineral. Ralph assured that once it is said so, he would follow him and will soon join them. Corleo turned. Alicia waved him with his hand, and there was Monica next to him. The hero glanced at girls with legs and ears. One of them explained that she was told not to reincarnate, so as not to attract attention. She decided to leave her nose as follows, because he will help track the garden. He agreed and suggested to figure out the task in stages. According to him, Grisha planned to use Minerva as a ship to call the spirit. But because he was inactive, he was missing something. Therefore, they decided to find a hero who possesses the magic of spirit and ghosts to solve this problem. The team was in the park. Monash asked what it was for a place. Monica also expressed surprise and asked the same thing. The hero replied that the park was nearby. In the Tuberf Entertainment Park, they got to their eyes, which introduced themselves as Panch. He said that the park was built in honor of the end of the war, and people and demons live here in harmony and equality. This is their motto. Panch added that the park is near the center of the person, and the trails here are as amazing as its digestive system. The girls were enthusiastically looking at this wonderful creature. Alicia warned Monica from approaching the bear. The hero turned to Monica and advised to move on, because they rely on her sensitive sense of smell to find the location of Cido. The girl agreed and began to sniff everything around. She said she has been 8 years old and she has considered herself a master in all her business. Completed the roller coaster skiing with a loud cry. Alicia asked if it would work exactly. She remembered she recently spoke to Monica and found out that she followed Krishna after his promise to resurrect her parents. Monica said that in her world, adults always tried to use it, and she felt that now she had the most freedom in her life. The hero noted that in this case, a little distracted would not hurt exactly. Having nervous, he sat on the bench. She hinted that she may also wanted it. She denied, saying that it had nothing to do with their work. The hero agreed, but noted that she shakes even more than Monica. She replied that she was 24 years old, and she is well able to distinguish work moments from her personal life. A little later, the three of them with Monica cheerfully screamed during the attraction. The American slides were spinning, and where their passionate exclamations were heard, the same fun atmosphere prevailed. After trying the drink, he noted his unsurpassed taste palate, even sweeter than water from the source. After the carousel, they met the man again in the doll suit. Corleo watched them, comfortably resting on the bench. In the end, Alicia also wanted to play. He said, "Let them have fun." The hero, educated by the military, never had the experience of playing with friends. All his entertainment was limited to walking with his mother on historical museums. Grasping his teeth, he got up. Alicia shouted that Monica has news. But, indicating in the direction, she shouted that she smelled up the garden. They came to a stall with hot dogs and bought some food. Alicia first tasted. Her eyes shone with pleasure, so she liked the taste. The taste was incredibly tender, even better than frog meat. Monica asked what world they were in. The hero returned to her and asked if they approached the source of the aroma. The girl replied that it was not just a game, and they are almost in place. Pointing up, she reported it was there. Corleo asked if it was not on the inspection wheel. The girl suggested that he dug. Alicia wondered if the attraction was also fast. She confirmed, heroically encouraging them. Then he expressed his desire to do it. The three of them rose to the window in the pavilion, fascinated by watching what is happening outside. Luke, watching a woman with children, noted what a strange world they have. The hero interrupted him. She asked how people and demons could live in peace. He replied that it was due to the efforts of his predecessor, although, in his opinion, everyone sought to coexist more than they were aware. It has been familiar to him since childhood. Pearl Regret confessed that she was experiencing a strong envy to them. Only the inspection wheel shifted. He was very surprised. It is announced that the inspection wheel stopped due to a system error, and everyone is recommended to stay away from the door and stay for the handrails. Becca exclaimed that it was Cido. She noted that the smell had intensified as the wheel stopped. The hero stopped at indecision. He cast his gaze to the side and saw that the girl had fallen out of the door, and only at the last forces the guy kept her. He shouted Monica to turn into a bird and throw it there. He explained that he could only levitate and therefore cannot move freely in the air. The girl answered what he could. The guy released the girl, and both began to fall together. The hero had time to grasp the boy, resting his feet against the edge of the door. Someone said that the guy had coped perfectly, and Monica, turning into a bird, was able to catch the girl. On the lower floor, people talked as they were scared, and how two rescued the kids in time. They began to think about how rapidly the girl, groaning. Monica observed with fear of all these people. They stated loudly that they did not understand anything, but noted how great she succeeded. She was tiny, but did something impressive. The girl was embarrassed. Alicia watched as they stood surrounded by the crowd. One of them looked satisfied, even cleverly. He admired that Monica was very sweet, and asked Alicia's opinion. Tara grinned. Julio stated that it was a case of Cido's hands and that they could not leave it unattended. The girl agreed, noting that they were dealing with the hero, but you need to be careful. Thinking, she added that she was spoiling everything forever, and asked if it was true. The hero assured her that it was not. The girl began to sniff more actively, noting that the smell became more expressive. The hero lifted his eyebrow in surprise, and the girl pointed out where this aroma came from. They approached this creepy house. Alicia was covered by fear, even just looking at him from afar.